Old St. Nick's got bourbon breath. It's so cold you could catch your death. A cop sold me some crystal meth. It's a merry fucking Christmas. Everything's so Christmassy. The streets are twinkling with frozen stop! My priest just sat on Santa's knee. It's a merry fucking Christmas. All the kids go to bed each night to dream what Santa brings them. Unless they're Jewish or Muslim or some other jip religion. Crappy toys flying off the shelves. Midgets dressed up to look like elves. Spread good cheer or burn in hell. It's a merry fucking Christmas. Kids go to bed each night to dream what Santa brings them. Unless they're Jewish or Muslim or some other jip religion. Crackling fires to keep me warm. And my collection of Asian porn. Cradle my bells and work my horn. It's a keep on truckin', last year suckin', midget chuckin', slap the puckin'. How much wood could a woodchuck chuckin'? Merry fucking Christmas! Shut up.
Oh, crap. I didn't realize the song was that short. All right. Well, we got a little bit of time to go before we can get started. I just got to put some things together. So I think while I wait, I might put on a different festive song. So let me see here. Let me pull up a song. Oh, I know. Okay. This will do. So I'll be right back.
Santa's watching, Santa's waiting. Christmas Eve is slowly fading. Can you hear him in the night? Close the door, turn out the light.
Santa's watching, Santa's creeping. Now you're nodding, now you're sleeping. Were you good for Mom and Dad? Santa knows if you've been bad. There might be a treat for you in Santa's bag of toys. But Christmas won't be fun and games for naughty girls and boys. Oh, Santa's watching, Santa's waiting, everybody's celebrating. Did you do your best this year? Too late now, 'cause Santa's here. Santa's watching, Santa's creeping. Now you're nodding, now you're sleeping. Were you good for Mom and Dad? Santa knows if you've been bad. There might be a treat for you in Santa's bag of toys. But Christmas won't be fun and games for naughty girls and boys. Oh, Santa's watching, Santa's waiting, everybody's celebrating. Did you do your best this year? Too late now, 'cause Santa's here.
Okay, looks like we still don't have anybody in the stream, which is always a good sign. I know we're running a bit late. I apologize. Stuff on my end. But I think I should have everything pulled up. Also, I'm kind of experimenting with some new software for audio, so if it sounds a little shaky, please let me know. But I don't know. We've been going for about a little over 5 minutes. Maybe I could wait just a tad bit longer. See if anyone else joins in. Oh, we got one. Oh, okay. Oh, mushrooms. Friday night spent fingering Freddy. Oh God. Well, all right. Guess we're getting people in. I think maybe it's about good enough time to start. So I'm gonna first mute my mic, and then I'm gonna go ahead and play that intro. Sorry, I just realized I kind of fucked up. Hang on, let me try something really quick. Just because I kind of messed that up. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. Let me see here. Well, okay, that didn't quite work the way I intended, but you know what? It's a temporary solution. Hopefully I can fix it in the future. But until then, let me first check back the caster. Okay, everything looks like it should be going. There we go. Okay, so welcome everybody to Friday Nights at FilmNerd number 69. Yes, get your 69 jokes out of the way. And as you can tell, me and my co-host tonight, Mizz Mimi, are dressed up for the season. Which, speaking of Mimi, say hi.
Hi, hello, my adoring public. How are you all doing tonight?
Wow, that was honestly really loud. Someone's definitely full of the Christmas spirit this year.
I'm full of so many Christmas spirits.
Yeah. Anyway, so I guess the topic tonight. So some of you who've been around for quite a while, I would hope so. I've only been doing this for however many years. Some of you might remember in one of my earliest streams, I looked at a little thing from Siskel and Ebert. Mimi, you're familiar with Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert, correct?
Absolutely. When I was a kid, I thought his name was Roger Reaper because I misheard it in commercials. Couldn't read yet. I just knew there was some guy named Roger Reaper who decided whether movies are good or not.
Yeah, and well, I mean, obviously people talk about him, but not as many people talk about Gene Siskel, which I think is a bit of a shame, but also it's not exactly like he was a saint or anything, because Gene Siskel did some pretty abhorrent things, like doxing Betsy Palmer in his review of the original Friday the 13th, because, you know, how dare this actress do a slasher film? Like, how dare you do a movie that I don't like? Anyway, so...
Not just a movie that he didn't like, a morally reprehensible piece of trash. Well, that was what Ebert said about the fourth one, at least.
Yeah, which we might take a look at that review, because that one is pretty significant and also really funny. Let me check the chat actually. Just to look at what we got here. Let's see. Mushroom saying, "Don't fear Roger Reaper." That's good. That's pretty good. But yeah, so years ago I looked at the Women in Danger special with a friend of the show, Maddie Cake. And I just figured, you know, it's been a couple years. My audience has grown maybe a tad bit since then. And I figured, you know, why not revisit it? Plus, I figured with someone like Mimi here, it'd be interesting to get her take on it. Because have you ever seen the Women in Danger special, Mimi?
Yes, I have. I've seen it once. And I have some thoughts about it.
All right. Well, I'm sure we'll all be more than interested in hearing your thoughts because it's been probably since that stream that I've seen the special. So I don't know if my thoughts now would be the same as they were back then. But I just think it'd be really fun to do this. So let me first pull up let me first pause the music. Let me switch to Zoom. Okay, got the pull up the right tab. Let's see, and I also gotta share my screen with you because otherwise you're not gonna know what we're talking about. So let me see. Allow.
Yes, that is how it works.
Okay, share screen. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, cool. That is. Oh, and I just realized that we're covering the chat on the stream. So let me move that up. There we go. Okay, so yeah, this is the Siskel Ebert Women in Danger special, courtesy of Grindhouse Movie Trailers, not a sponsor. Well, we can. Do you want to skip past the intro for the video, or do you want to play it?
Whatever you think is best.
Okay.
I'll defer to your wisdom.
Probably not the best idea, but okay. Well, I'll just put on the intro anyway, just because I think it's kind of fun. You know it's all silly and wacky when they bust out the trombones. Also, I don't know what it is.
Oh boy, I wonder what funny thing we're gonna talk about in this special.
Also, like, maybe it's just me, but I always kind of love it in, like, opening credits of not just stuff like this, but also movies. I always find it kind of fun whenever they put the names of the people involved on, like, objects in the background. Like if you're watching, like Jack Frost, the Killer Snowman movie, they put the names of the cast and crew on, like, Christmas ornaments, and they pan the camera to each one. Like, I don't know why, but little things like that I always kind of appreciated. Anyway.
Run if you must.
Hello, operator.
Hide if you can. Scream if you are able, but above all, if you are alone, don't answer the phone. I killed them all. Don't answer the phone.
I've actually got Don't Answer the Phone on Blu-ray. I've been meaning to watch it, but I don't know. I just never got around to it. But I don't know. This is always kind of a funny little trend to me in, like, the late 70s, early 80s, how you had a bunch of don't movies coming out. Like, there was Don't Answer the Phone, Don't Go in the House, Don't Look in the Basement, Don't Go in the Woods Alone, Don't Go Near the Park, Don't Open Till Christmas, Don't Drink Your Juice while in the Hood, or whatever it's called. I don't know, just something I always thought was really funny.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Edgar Wright satirized this trend in the 2000s with the fake movie trailer that was just called "Don't."
Yeah, which
Grindhouse.
Yeah, which, I mean, that wasn't my favorite trailer. I would say my favorite was Rob Zombie's Werewolf Woman of the SS, but his Don't trailer was really funny too.
TV commercials like that one exploiting the plight of women in danger. Those ads have been saturating television for the past 2 years. And the summer and fall of 1980 are the worst yet.
I was going to say, if he thinks that the summer and fall of 1980 is bad, he's going to have a heart attack when he sees 1981, because 81 was arguably, like, the boom of the slasher film. Like, because that year alone we had, like, Friday the 13th Part 2, what else? There was, like, My Bloody Valentine, Happy Birthday to Me, Graduation Day, The Burning, The Prowler, Halloween 2. Like, there were way more slashers that came out in 81 than in 1980. So, you know, if he thinks 80 is bad, you ain't seen nothing yet.
It is really interesting sometimes to go back and hear Roger Ebert make these very naive statements about movies. Well, that are only naive because we have modern hindsight now, and I guess this is one of them.
Yeah.
A disturbing new trend at the movie box office, one we'll be discussing on this special edition of Sneak Previews. Across the aisle from me is Gene Siskel, film critic of the Chicago Tribune.
And this is Roger Ebert, film critic of the Chicago Sun-Times. Now, normally on Sneak Previews, Roger and I review new movies. This week, however, we're going to be looking at a group of recent films that have some very ugly things in common. All of these films are thrillers featuring extreme violence directed at young women. To put it bluntly, what you see in most of these films is a lot of teenage girls being raped or stabbed to death, usually.
Okay, I gotta stop right there. What slasher films are they watching if a lot of them involve women being raped? Because I've seen quite a lot of slashers.
Well, the thing is, I think they're not just talking about slasher films. Even they're talking about like, because there was a trend of like rape revenge films around this era, and they're gonna talk about the most infamous one. But you had films like I Spit on Your Grave, or like just to use an example of one that's remembered more fondly, you had like Miss 45, I think, a couple years after this.
Yeah, well, in the case of Miss 45, like that one kind of starts as a rape revenge film, but it then turns into like a thriller where this woman who was raped twice in the same day basically goes nuts and decides to kill any man she comes across, regardless of whether or not they deserve it.
Well, it's a rape revenge movie it's a vigilante origin story.
Yeah,
but I think there were these. I mean, there were these like exploitation films involving rape back then, even if it wasn't necessarily the same as the slasher movies.
Yeah, that's fair.
This is a depressing development in American movies, and on this show, we'll examine the nature of this trend and then speculate on why we're getting so many of these films and getting them now.
Maybe you're getting so many of them because they happen to do well at the box office, and people, you know, as awful as they may seem to you, people actually want to see these movies.
Moviegoers.
Well, yeah, but they're going to have a sinister explanation as to why people want to see these movies.
Yeah,
that's coming.
Yeah, which I always found this to be hilarious.
See these R-rated films, and they assume, well, they're just going to see a bunch of routine, scary pictures. But oftentimes, they're really shocked how awful these films are. As we explore this trend, we will not be showing you extreme violence in these movies. We've picked scenes that only suggest the violence. We want to inform
Which,
you.
that part I always find really funny is they're like, okay, well, we're not going to actually show you any of the stuff in these movies we find objectionable. We're just going to discuss them. We're going to speculate on what happens in them. So it's like not even they know.
Well, this is on TV though, right? I mean, I don't think they could show R-rated stuff.
I mean, yeah, that's fair, but still, like, it just, I don't know, to me it just screams hypocrisy that it's like, oh, we're not gonna, like, actually...
Your voice just changed a lot. Did you switch mics?
No, hang on just a second. Okay, sorry about that. Anyway, so I was actually wanting to check the chat real quick to see what's going on. Let's see. How do I... There we go. Okay, all messages. I like Mushroom says, fuck rape, fuck sickos, dude. Goodly is saying, can we get a 1, 2, 3 in the chat for what he just said? And I like Goodly also says he's gonna have a heart attack when he sees. I think he's gonna have a heart attack when he sees those two planes. God damn it, Goodly.
Not offend you.
Those two what?
We're not showing some of those.
Those two planes crash into the two towers.
Scenes. I think people would. Yes. To begin with, one of the things these so-called women in danger films all have in common is that they portray women.
Well, that's what you're calling them. What do you mean so-called?
Yeah, exactly. Plus,
or was that just the accepted term back then?
I don't know. I mean, hang on. Let me actually rewind it just a tad bit.
Not offend.
It's just as well we're not showing some of those scenes. I think people would turn their sets off.
Yes.
To begin with, one of the things these so-called women in danger films all have in common is that they portray women as helpless victims. And after you've sat through a dozen or so of these films...
I mean, okay, I don't know, like, because sure, there's women in the movies who are like helpless victims, as they say, but there are also plenty of men who are also victims in these movies. Plus, have they not heard of the final girl trope? Like in almost every single slasher film, there's always like one woman who manages to stand up to the killer and defeat him.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not sure the term had crystallized. The term final girl had crystallized yet. This is still in the early days of the slasher genre. But you make a that is kind of a specter that looms over this video, is that they don't really address kind of the final girl trope. But the thing is, I mean, I've seen people argue that trope is also sexist because we have to see a woman go through the most suffering, of course, in the film, and also, you know, it's usually the more morally upright woman who doesn't, you know, who doesn't enjoy the fruits of women's liberation, so to speak, who gets to be the final girl. And
Yeah,
oh,
I suppose.
yeah, I mean, there are people who make all those arguments too. So I don't think that saves it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't think that saves the slasher genre.
Yeah.
In the eyes of people like
They all
Siskel
fall into the
Ebert.
same pattern. A woman or a young girl is shown alone, isolated, and defenseless, and then come suspense-building scenes where the girl thinks she's about to be attacked, but she isn't. And then, just when you think everything's going to be okay and nothing's going to happen, a crazy killer springs out of the shadows and attacks her, and frequently the killer sadistically threatens the victim before he strikes. That's what's happening in this scene from last year's sleazy movie.
I mean, that's basically like every horror film, right? Like, you know, person is terrorized, they hide somewhere, they think they're safe, and then just as they think they're going to be okay, the thing that's attacking them springs up and attacks them. Like that. How are these like so-called women in danger films any different from, I don't know, like the Universal movies or, you know, any horror film made before 1980? Like, I don't get it.
Because I mean, at this time they were more violent. I guess they allowed more violence.
Yeah.
Which got kind of started to get censored toward the later half of the decade of the 80s decade.
Yeah.
Stranger Calls, which has now been re-released because of the recent upsurge of the popularity of these films about attacks on women. In this scene, that woman's been told to keep the caller on the line who's been threatening her until the police can trace the call.
Hello.
It's me.
Do you think should we skip past the movie clips, or should we like let them play? Just because like I want to get mainly to like the bits of Siskel and Ebert. I mean, we can show the movie clips and like to provide context for what their dumbfounded arguments are, but I also don't want to like risk getting copyright flagged.
All right, you can skip it if you want.
Okay.
I mean, this is a pretty low quality clip, but you still might get flagged over it.
Yeah. Although it is kind of funny though how they mentioned like earlier that it's like we're not actually going to show you any of these violent scenes, we're just going to imply them, and then they just immediately show a clip from one of the movies they're going to talk about.
Yeah, but they don't show the violence from it.
Yeah,
just show a scene of her on the phone.
It's fair.
Premise for at least a dozen films in the last year. It's always the same. The girl is at home alone, the menacing attacker, the ringing telephone, the wide, frightened eyes. I think there's something terribly wrong when an image like that becomes the building block of an entire movie genre.
You know, a lot of people think that the battle has been won in Hollywood on films about women. They think that now women have parity with that there's strong women images in the films. Jill Clayburgh and an unmarried woman, Jane Fonda, in every picture she makes. Got it all wrong. And Clayburgh make one film a year maybe, right? These films are coming out week after week, playing to millions of people, and the dominant image in American films today on women is not Fonda and Clayburgh. It's women like that, cowering in the corner, knives being brandished in their faces, being raped, being sliced apart. That's what's going on in American movies. That's why we're doing this show.
I think a lot of
I
people...
don't know. I know I already brought this up before, but like they keep bringing up the rape thing. It's like, okay, I know there was like I Spit in Your Grave and maybe Last House on the Left, but they liked Last House on the Left, which is always kind of baffles me. But like I don't know, they bring this up as if like every single, because I know, like you said before, they're not necessarily directed
Well,
specifically.
there's also Hills Have Eyes. That was also Wes Craven. Didn't that have a rape in it?
Oh yeah, that did. It's been years since I've seen Hills Have Eyes, but like I don't know, that's still only like 3 movies out of like however many dozens of movies came out around this time. So it's like I still don't get why they keep bringing up the rape thing. It's like they don't. Not every one of these movies has rape in it. Like I mean, I guess it's just mainly for like sensationalism to like play up, oh, how sick and vile these movies are, when really like they're not as graphic as they're trying to make them out to be. But anyway,
The wrong idea. They identify these films with earlier thrillers like Psycho, or even a more recent film like Halloween, which we both like. These films aren't in the same category. These films hate women. And unfortunately, the audiences that go to them don't seem to like women too much either. Now, we go to see these films in movie theaters. These are not the kinds of movies where they have nice private little screenings for the critics. And to sit there surrounded by people who are identifying not with the victim, but with the attacker, with the killer, who are cheering these killers on, is a very scary experience.
Yeah, the movies are played.
well, I mean, I don't know, because I mean they do have kind of a point, because at least later on with a lot of slasher films, they did make icons out of the killers, like Jason, Freddy. I mean, you know, Michael, Leatherface, and all that.
Yeah,
But-
the killer is the face of the franchise, not the protagonist.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, people are going to cheer when somebody gets killed because that's where they're expecting to see in a horror film. But at the same time, you wouldn't want to go into. I'm trying to find the right way to phrase this. You want to see people get killed, but you also don't want to see them get killed. Like if there are characters in the movie you like or identify with, part of the horror is, you know, seeing these people that you've grown to really like and care about getting horribly killed. Like you see, you know, you're like, oh, I really like this person, and then they get killed, and then you're like, oh, I really wanted them to live. So when they're mentioning like people cheering, I don't.
It's kind of a case by case basis, because there are a lot of slasher movies that do make the characters deliberately unlikable because you're supposed to kind of be rooting for them to get killed.
Yeah.
But then, you know, the best horror movies create characters who you don't want to see get killed. And I mean, something like, I think we're going to talk about this later, part of why Nightmare on Elm Street 3 is my favorite Nightmare movie is because all the characters in that movie are pretty distinct, and you don't really want to see any of them die.
Exactly. Or like
in my opinion.
Or like for like Friday the 13th, I think a lot of those movies really succeeded when it came to characters, because in a lot of those movies they have, I mean, they're not like the most three-dimensional characters, but like, you know, Shelley in like Friday the 13th Part 3 was a character I really didn't want to see die. Or like Part 4, you had like, you know, Teddy and Jimbo, like I really wanted them to live. Or like Tommy Jarvis, and I mean, he doesn't die in any of the movies, but like in Part 5 and Part 6, you really grew attached to him. Like those movies did a good job of making, I mean, sure, they all had, you know, asshole-ish characters, but they also had plenty of characters that you could root for and identify with. That
Yeah, a lot of slashers, they do a little bit of a mix of the two.
Yeah, but anyway,
so that they really are in favor almost of the killer and really against the women cowering back. I don't think we can stress this too strongly, that we're not talking about just a couple of films. It seems like we're getting new ones of these kind of films every other week. That amounts to a major movie trend. Here are some examples. There's Prom Night, with teenage girls being slaughtered at their high school prom. The ad campaign is, if you're not back by midnight, you won't be coming home. There's Don't Go in the House. A guy who was tortured by his mother burns 3 women to death. The cell line says you have been warned. And there's The Howling, a new movie about a woman who goes alone on a vacation and is tortured by the locals. The come-on line here is, imagine your worst fear a reality.
See, what's funny about him bringing up The Howling is Siskel actually ended up liking The Howling. Like I think he gave it a pretty favorable review, but it's funny he mentions like that it's about a woman being terrorized by locals, when it's like, did you forget about the part?
It's a werewolf movie.
Exactly. Although I guess like
it's such a weird way to describe it.
Although I guess in his defense, like part of the idea with the marketing for The Howling was that they didn't want to sell it like they didn't want the audience to know going in that it was going to be a werewolf movie. They wanted that to be a surprise, even though again the movie's called The Howling. Like that kind of gives away that it's a werewolf movie.
Well, it's
And
kind
there's
of
Terror
like
Train.
it's kind of like talking about From Dusk Till Dawn and saying, "Oh, it's a movie about two people who get kidnapped by gangsters," and then you end it there.
Exactly.
In which 6 college students at a masquerade party on a train are stalked by a psychopath. And there's the Boogeyman. A supernatural killer haunts a house. Here's one of the ads for the Boogeyman.
You can't hide.
I gotta be honest, like them talking about all these movies, because I've seen a couple of them, but hearing them talk about it, it makes me less like, oh, I should avoid these movies, but more like, ooh, these sound really cool. Like I feel like they're doing more harm than good with bringing these movies up. But anyway,
From him.
let's skip ahead.
And we're out to get the Boogeyman before he gets you and your $4. Now, week after week, these are the kinds of movies we're getting. It is relentless. Every film company seems to be making one of these movies or distributing one that some fast buck artist has already made. In addition to the
Yeah, again, it's almost as if these movies are very successful and people want to see them. You know, I mean, what's next? You're going to tell me that, like, in, you know, nowadays people want to see superhero movies and they're making more of them because they keep making money? Like, what are you talking about?
films we've already mentioned this season, we also have He Knows You Are Alone, Motel Hell, Phobia, Mother's Day.
Which, funny they mentioned Motel Hell because Roger Ebert actually gave Motel Hell like a 3.5 out of 4 stars. So, again, a little hypocritical of them to bring up Motel Hell.
Schizoid, Silent Scream, and I Spit on Your Grave.
Up,
is
here we go.
easily the worst of this disgusting bunch. The newspaper ads for these films are bold in the way they suggest terror. No way in many cases do the ads really prepare you for the kind of explicit violence we end up getting on the screen. Decapitations are not uncommon, and repeated stabbing shots of all parts of women's bodies are grotesquely routine.
You know what I think misleads a lot of people when they look at the newspaper ads, ads on television for these movies, they see that R rating and they think, well, R, that means if you're under 17, you have to take along a parent or an adult guardian. It can't be that bad. Maybe they've seen other R-rated films, like this summer you had The Blue Lagoon and had a little low-key nudity in it, or The Blues Brothers, which really wasn't too extreme, and so they say, well,
sorry, that just, I don't know, that they're trying to equate like The Blue Lagoon and Blues Brothers to a movie like Prom Night or Silent Scream. Like, what? Sorry, that just made my brain short circuit. Just them trying to compare those movies together.
They have no idea. I agree with you about I Spit on Your Grave. That is the most violent, extreme, grotesque, nauseating R-rated picture I've ever seen, and I just don't understand how the R rating has grown so large as to include these films, which in my opinion...
Which I do love that they mention how they complain about I Spit on Your Grave being like disgusting, relentless, and cruel, and it's like, yeah, that's kind of the point. It's not supposed to portray the rape as like this, you know, it's not supposed to turn you on. It's supposed to be as like raw and as visceral as you can get. Like it's not meant to be, you know, titillating. It's meant to be shocking. So them complaining about it is like,
Hey.
What's up?
Hey, I'm sorry, I had to mute my mic for a second because Sophie was barking at the pizza man.
Oh.
But I wanted to say they flashed the movie Terror Train a minute ago. Have you ever seen Terror Train?
It's been a few years, but I do vaguely remember watching it.
It's a movie about a femboy serial killer. It was ahead of its time.
Yeah. Again, I'd have to see it. Like I said, it's been years since I've seen it, so I don't really remember. I remember the killer would like always steal the costume of like the person they just killed, and I remember Jamie Lee Curtis was in it because she was in a lot of horror movies at that time. But that's really all I remember about Terror Train.
Right off the of any kind of good taste.
Yeah, what's happening is these gougings, again, to make the point, are taking place, and they're basically women that are being gouged. I think at this point...
Now, have you seen I Spit on Your Grave?
I have. Again, been a few years, but that's one of those movies that once you see it, you can never really forget it.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's a how do I put this? I'm not sure I would call it a good movie. It's a very I mean, it's a very basic, very simple movie when you get down to it. The story you can sum it up in like a sentence or two, but it's I don't know. I mean, it's an extreme film to be sure. It shows things that you're not supposed to show, and I get why these guys would be disgusted by it because they're kind of prudish. But
Yeah.
um, I don't know. I guess sometimes you kind of need extreme films to exist at the margins of cinema. One thing I will say is, I Spit on Your Grave is not. It's not a helpless victim film exactly though,
Yeah.
because there's only one victim and she gets revenge on all the guys who rape her by the end. She kills all of
Yeah.
them.
Oh,
So
like if the movie
she's not helpless for the first half of the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Like if the movie had just been the first half and nothing else, like okay, they would have a case to make for it. But the fact that the second half is her getting her just desserts, like getting her revenge on these guys, like that kind of goes again. I mean, okay, again, like the rape in the movie is very disturbing and graphic, but as much as I hate to say it, you kind of need it to be extreme in order to make the revenge all the more satisfying. Like if they had just like I don't know hit her or like run her off the road and then she got her revenge, like it'd be like okay. I mean, you do feel good about seeing her get revenge, but it's like, was it really justified? But in the case of I Spit on Your Grave, because of everything she went through, it makes the revenge all the more satisfying.
Well, I will say this: the theory that the audience is supposed to identify with the rapists, right?
Yeah.
That we're supposed to be cheering them on. It's like if that's true, why would the second half of that movie be the way that it is, right? I mean, even the one guy who's like more hesitant, to rape her,
Yeah.
the one guy who's like a little less desensitized than the rest of them, even she still kills him at the end. She gives him the I think the most merciful death, but he still dies.
Yeah, exactly. Like if like you said, if we were supposed to root for them, they wouldn't have gotten killed. Johnny wouldn't have gotten castrated in the bathtub and left to bleed to death.
Why?
Why
exactly?
now? Why is this happening? I have a theory. In the last couple of months that I've been seeing these pictures, I'm convinced it has something to do with the growth of the women's movement in America in the last decade. I think that these films are some sort of primordial response by some very sick people of men saying, get back in your place, women. These women in the films are typically portrayed as independent, as sexual, as enjoying life, and the killer typically, not all the time, but most often, is a man who is sexually frustrated with these new, aggressive women. And so he strikes back at them. He throws knives at them. He can't deal with them. He cuts them up. He kills them. Get back in your place. It's against the women's movement.
I think you're basically...
Okay.
What I liked Siskel and Ebert until they went woke.
Yeah, well, this was like 40 some odd years before woke was even a thing. But no, just the whole idea of like, oh, these movies are made in response to the women's lib movement. It's like, no, they're not. They're made because one movie, Halloween, made a ton of money, and the studios were like, oh, we could do something similar to this. Like, it has nothing to do with the women's lib movement. You fucking, I'm gonna say it, you fucking retards. Like, what are you talking about? And again, it's like if these movies really were anti-women.
Well, they talk about that. They talk about that too. They talk about how they're all trying to capitalize on Halloween also.
But I
in a
mean, it's
bit,
like
but
if these movies really were anti-women, the women wouldn't be the ones who defeat the killer in the end. Like, I'm sorry, that just really bugs me.
Right, Gene. After
well, I will say this: there's a kind of, how do I put this? They say that Halloween and Psycho, they bring up these two movies and they say those movies don't hate women, and I'm like, well, Don't they? I mean, well, like you go back and watch Psycho, I mean, a woman does transgresses in that and gets punished by getting murdered. So, I mean,
Plus, it's
she does easy things in that movie. I mean, maybe you could argue, I don't know if they'd argue that what she did was more deserving than just what a lot of women do in these slasher movies with their newfound freedom, but
well, I was going to bring up the point that, like, in Psycho, it's because of a woman that Norman Bates turns out the way he does, because his mother was, like, controlling and domineering over him.
yeah, that too. So why don't they consider like what makes Psycho different exactly? I mean, Psycho is a better movie than a lot of these films, but what makes it different in
Well,
terms of why is Psycho a non-misogynistic movie?
Well, see,
Uh,
maybe here's
when
what
a
you
lot
don't
of these
understand.
films are.
Here's what you don't understand. That movie was made by Alfred Hitchcock. These movies were not made by Alfred Hitchcock. Same with like Halloween. John Carpenter didn't do Friday the 13th. He didn't do He Knows You're Alone. So because they are the ones who made it, then it's like, oh, okay, well now it's okay. It's like if Alfred Hitchcock made Iceman in Your Grave, maybe then they would have liked it.
Well, I mean, I think if Alfred Hitchcock made Alice Spit on Your Grave, it would have probably been a better movie than it was. But I don't know, when John Carpenter did Halloween, was he really that famous yet?
I mean, no, because I think at the time he'd only done Dark Star and Assault on Precinct 13. But I don't know. The point I was trying to make was it was kind of more or less a joke, but it was trying to make the point that like these movies are okay because they're like to give credit to like Psycho and Halloween, which they do deserve it. They are more artistically made. Like they're clearly made by people who know the language of film and want to make a good movie. I mean, not that obviously nobody ever sets out to make a bad movie, but like you look at stuff like Friday the 13th or any of the other slashers that came out in the early 80s, like there was definitely some artistry put into them, but a lot of them were just kind of made to ride the coattails of the stuff that made it popular in the first place. So I can give
Funny, I will say John Carpenter didn't like Siskel and Ebert. He directly, or at least he directly mocked them in They Live,
yeah.
and basically, in that universe they're aliens.
Yeah, because even though they liked Halloween, they weren't too fond of like Escape from New York and The Thing and Big Trouble in Little China and Christine and everything he made after that.
Of this complete trash, you begin to ask yourself, what did these female victims do to deserve the horrible attacks they undergo in these films? What was their crime? Why is it suddenly open season on young women in the movies? Well, one thing that most of the women victims do have in common is that they do act independently, and I agree with you on that point. To one degree or another, they're liberated women who choose to act on their own, and the moment that a woman starts making decisions for herself in these movies, you can almost bet she's going to end up paying with her life, and horribly. Here's an example from a movie, Silent Scream, with a college co-ed looking for off-campus housing.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I've had a
Yeah, let's skip past this. Oh yeah. Oh, and actually, it's funny that I mentioned Friday the 13th because they actually bring it up.
Friday the 13th, an independent female camp counselor goes out on her own and hitchhikes a ride with the wrong driver.
I mean, independent woman. Well, I mean, yeah, of course she gets she hitchhikes a ride to Camp Crystal Lake. Like, how is she gonna get there? Plus, it's not like this is the first time she's gone hitchhiking. Like like they don't show the clip, but earlier in the movie she did get a hit. She did hitchhike with a trucker who was like warning her not to go to the camp. So, in her mind, it stands to reason that like if this one person who picked her up is going to be decent, then surely this other guy is going to be like, I don't know. Again, I feel like they're just really reaching for stuff to complain about. Let's see. Were you about to say something, Mimi?
Well, the thing is, I wanted to say something, which is the interesting thing about the horror genre is that it's mainly based on two defining things, right? Which are fear and spectacle.
Sure.
And the thing is, people who are more like uptight and who are more conservative, they might actually agree with the fear part of the movie, but not but they're not gonna like the spectacle part, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna have a problem with that. Whereas I think a lot of people who are more progressive actually kind of have the opposite response to horror, where it's like they like the spectacle part, but they have more of an issue with the fear part, you know, because it's like, or with some of the things that horror tries to make the audience afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like with Siskel and Ebert, it's almost like they have a problem with both.
Yeah.
um,
No,
if
I
that
do.
makes any sense.
No, I
They have a problem with both the fear and the spectacle. They have a problem with the kind of they have a problem with horror saying, "Hey, you should get back in your place. You know, the
yeah.
world is scary.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be so careless." They have a issue with that, but they have an issue with kind of the spectacle too. They
Yeah.
find it to be exploitative.
No, I get what you mean.
I know they're both very prudish, and like I remember seeing their review of Fright Night where Siskel was like, you know, in old vampire movies, you'd see one disintegration toward this film. You see the end of this film, you see disintegrations over and over.
Yeah.
That too much?
Mm-hmm. I'm looking in the chat right now. I like Goodly Draws says people saying shit like that is like the Pope trying to address like a decline in faith, and instead of talking about all the sex scandals with the priest, he just goes, "The problem is Satan." Yeah, exactly. And Tyler David, he says, no, he quotes me saying, "Nobody sets out to make a bad movie," and then they're like, "How about Human Centipede 2 and 3?" 2, like, I've only seen it once, and it's not a good movie, but I don't think it's like terrible. 3 I haven't seen, so I can't speak on that one. And going back to Goodley, I like how he says, Troma set out to make a bad movie, but they failed and made The Toxic Avenger. Well, I mean, I guess technically they kind of succeeded, because The Toxic Avenger is kind of a bad movie. Like, none in the sense that, like, it's poorly... I mean, it's kind of poorly made, but more so in the sense that, like, it's dumb, it's goofy, it's silly, it's ridiculous, but it works because of that.
I will say, I do think Human Centipede 2 is a bad movie, but it's got a couple things going for it. Namely, the casting of the guy who plays the killer. He's just this I hate to say this about him, but he's just this disgusting looking man.
Yeah.
And he works really well as that character.
Yeah.
And yeah, it has a really, I mean, the actual part where he makes the centipede is very brutal and hard to watch, but other than that, it's pretty bad. The third Human Centipede is actually a Troma style dark comedy. It's kind of a self-parody, but I don't think it's as good as the better Troma movie saw. It's kind of it's still kind of shoddily made.
I gotcha. Oh, actually, another thing I just thought of, because I mentioned the thing about Psycho. In Friday the 13th, a woman... Well, actually, no, I feel like this would be kind of feeding more into Siskel and Ebert's theory about these movies hating women, is that in the original Friday the 13th, the killer is revealed to be a woman, Mrs. Voorhees. But again, I feel like that's kind of feeding more into Siskel and Ebert's point that these movies hate women by the fact that they're making a woman the villain.
Now that scene illustrates a very common and probably very significant technique that's used again and again in these films.
That's kind of where you get into a falsifiability problem, because it's like, well, if the killer is a man, then it's anti-woman because you're supposed to identify with the killer. If the killer is a woman, then it's anti-woman because you're supposed to view the killer as evil. I mean, you could make it work for either, is what I'm trying. You could find a way to interpret both, like either or, as a woman-hating decision.
Yeah, I get you.
Of the killer. You never saw the driver in that last scene. Instead, you saw everything through the driver's eyes. Now, in the traditional horror movie, we often saw things from the victim's point of view, but that's no longer. Now we look through the killer's eyes. It's almost as if the audience is being asked to identify the attackers in these movies, and that really bothers me.
That's a very good point. One of the things.
So it bothered you in Friday the 13th, but it didn't bother you in Halloween, where there's at least like 2 or 3 scenes in it where we're following Michael Myers' point of view. Like, it didn't bother you then, but it bothers you in Friday the 13th. I don't. And also like the whole thing.
I wonder how does Siskel and Ebert feel about Peeping Tom? That's the movie that really started the killer POV thing, in my opinion, at least as far as I know.
I don't know how they feel about Peeping Tom, which actually, I'll let this play for a little bit because I'm actually gonna look up and see if because I know like when the movie came out, Peeping Tom was pretty hated, but I don't know how they felt about it. I mean, I'm assuming like probably at the time Roger Ebert probably hated it, and then years later he was probably like, oh no, this movie's actually a masterpiece. Let's see. Well, let me just let this play.
Bothers me is that the behavior that these women are engaging in, if done by men, would be considered brave, bold, and fun. Going hitchhiking, you know, going across the country like an easy rider, very typical. A woman tries to do something like that in these films, whammo, sliced up. And again, I want to expand on this notion of what may be causing this. Whenever we see a movie trend, I think that what's really going on, I think I've talked about this, is sort of a coalesced dream that the people may be feeling and the filmmaker hits on. Remember those disaster pictures? We talked about it, everybody being afraid that something evil might happen to the world, a nuclear explosion.
Okay, so real quick, I looked up Roger Ebert Peeping Tom. Granted, this review is from 1999, so this is like after the fact, but he gave Peeping Tom 4 stars, which I admittedly don't, I mean, you know, he's right to give it that rating because it's a great film, but it's also like I said, at the time, it was pretty hated, so I don't know how they would have felt about Peeping Tom back then.
Something like that. Then
Well, I only bring up Peeping Tom. Peeping Tom is it is a 1960 movie, so the violence is not. It's softer than a lot of 80s slashers, but that movie was kind of what started the killer POV cam thing, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, that's fair.
Here, I think filmmakers are picking up on the notion that a lot of men are angry at women, don't know how to cope with women, and they're pandering, exciting, inflaming men. Very bad.
When you talk about the coalesced dreams, in other words, a lot of people out there who have urges or feelings or fears that they don't articulate themselves, and then a movie comes along, sometimes almost by accident, that strikes that chord. For example, when Airport came out in 1970, nobody knew that was going to be the first of countless, umpteen dozens of disaster movies, but it really spoke to people in a way that made other people imitate it. And I think in this case, the first movie of this whole series of women in danger films was obviously Halloween, which I think, and we're going to get to Halloween in just a moment, I think it's a pretty good picture, but it captured an enormous audience. It did millions of dollars worth of business, and then the sleaze merchants who came along looked at that movie and tried to put their finger on what it was about it that was so successful, and they said, well, women being chased by a killer, that's it. Let's go out and hire us some more women.
mean, okay, I hate to give them credit, but like they do have a point about like the fact that, I mean, obviously Halloween wasn't the first slasher. Like I personally think Black Christmas from 1974 was the first true slasher, but for the sake of argument, Halloween was the one that kind of popularized the genre. I do see their point that, like, you know, Halloween came out and made a ton of money, and the other studios were like, oh, let's make our own version of Halloween and, you know, try to figure out what made it so successful. But I think to kind of counterpoint to that, I feel like, or maybe not necessarily counterpoint, but like a lot of the movies that came after Halloween were a lot more exploitive. Like they went for more brutal kills and more nudity and all that. But I don't think, because I mean, there were plenty of bad slashers that came out in the early 80s, but there's also a lot of really good ones that came out. Like, you know, ones that, again, were made as cash-ins, but they were still really well-done movies. Like I think The Burning, The Burning or like The Prowler, I think those are both really solid slasher films that were like really well shot, fairly well acted. They got some great kills thanks to courtesy of Tom Savini. Like, you know, again, many of them were certainly made as cash-ins, but that doesn't necessarily mean they were like bad movies that were like poorly made and all that.
And some more killers and make us some.
I'm gonna reveal a meme Christmas time secret, which is I actually like Black Christmas better than Halloween. Overall, I think it's scarier at least. I think I think Halloween has an iconic soundtrack, whereas the soundtrack of Black Christmas is not as memorable. But other than that, I like it better overall.
I mean, that's not unfair. I mean, I don't know. It's tough for me to say because I love them both for very different reasons. But I do think in some ways Black Christmas is scarier because in Halloween there is an identifiable killer and at least some kind of a motive. In Black Christmas, you get like little hints, but you're never outright told who the killer is, what their motive is, or anything. It's like all left in mystery, and that actually kind of makes it scarier.
Exploitation films. These
Well,
because they
I mean,
exploit-
he's a talking killer, but he just everything he says is just nonsense, and it's and the conversations he has with himself doing different voices on the phone are terrifying. They made a remake of Black Christmas in the 2000s where they tried to explain who the killer was, and
Agnes, it's me, Billy. Don't tell them about what we did.
yeah, exactly. Those
Sorry,
phone calls are terrifying.
I just want to do that bit. I mean, I could have gone with the more vulgar
In the
stuff.
remake, they were like the killer's name is Billy Lenz, and he has a skin condition, and he has a sister/daughter because of incest reasons named Agnes, and that's who he was talking about on the phone. They explain it all, which I guess if you're gonna do a remake, you might as well. But
All right, now here's the
I still prefer the original.
now here's the real question. What do you think of the other Black Christmas remake from 2019?
Well, you know what? I haven't seen it, but I kind of want to, and I just keep forgetting about it. I do want to watch that one though because of the whole. I mean, I've heard what happens in it. And it sounds hilarious. Maybe we'll watch that this month. I don't know.
All right.
In the server.
one element and make it sort of sick. Also, many of the attacks in these films take on women who are scantily clad. And I think that the intent here is to also exploit the sex angle in these pictures. The nudity is always gratuitous. It's just put in the film only to titillate the audience and maybe make one other point, that women who dress this way or merely uncover their bodies are somehow asking for trouble and somehow deserve the trouble they get. That's a very
So essentially what they're saying is you shouldn't have dressed that way. Like they're making the case that people make about like when real life women are raped. It's like, well, you shouldn't have been dressed like that.
guy. Here, for example.
Well,
is
no,
an
they're
innocent
saying that's
sunbather-
what the movies are saying.
Yeah, but
They're not saying that, but they're saying that's what the movies are saying by having scantily clad women get killed.
yeah, which I mean, it's not like that hasn't been done in movies before 1980. You know, it's not like you had movies like House on Haunted Hill where the main female lead gets attacked by a skeleton in like a nightgown. Like, you know, it's not like stuff like that existed.
And I spit on your grave. Watch what happens to her.
Oh no, she's laying in a boat all by herself, perfectly relaxed. Like, oh, how shocking.
Yeah, they're saying she hasn't done anything wrong, but she's gonna get punished for it for just enjoying her day.
Yeah, which, hate to break it to I mean, it doesn't matter because Siskel and Ebert are both dead, but like that's kind of something that happens in real life. Like there are women, well, not just women, but people in general who are attacked, killed, etc. for seemingly no reason. Like it's not exactly like this is a new thing. Like not every attack is like planned out. Like a lot of people are killed, attacked, etc. for seemingly no reason. Like it's not exactly like this is a new thing. So I don't know.
Well, this is what I want to say, which is there are some people, I've encountered this opinion in my time. There are some people who believe you should never show like sexual violence or sexual assault in a movie. That it should just kind of be an off thing, right?
Yeah,
but a lot of the people who think this, I guess my issue is if you are like a feminist and you believe that we live in a rape culture, so to speak, where rape is like normal and it happens all the time, but you also believe that it's just something that should never be shown in a piece of fiction. It's kind of a counterintuitive position. I guess it it comes back to the, oh, you can't make a this happens all the time, but you can't make a spectacle out of it. That's bad.
Yeah, well, I get your point. The point is that, like, if you were like a feminist who was trying to push this idea that we live in a pro-rape culture and you want to show that it's not a good thing, you would want to not necessarily make a spectacle of it, but want to show it off more, saying like, hey, look at this. This is what's going on. You should pay attention to this. Not like, oh, you shouldn't show this because of whatever. But no, I think I get what you mean.
In the past year,
I guess what I mean is it's counterintuitive to believe that this is happening constantly in real life, but that you can't show it in a movie, unless the issue is just, yeah, it happens all the time, but you can't make a spectacle out of it. That's bad.
Yeah, which, I don't know, that always kind of ties in with like how I point out that honestly the real horror is, on the 6 o'clock news. Like what you'll see on the news is oftentimes scarier than what they can put in a movie. So
150 times. Every movie of this kind has 8 or 10 scenes just like that. I am sick of them. I dread going to these kinds of movies. It really has become the most depressing part of my job as a film critic.
And there we are.
Okay, here's the thing. Like he mentions like it's his job to be a film critic. That's fine. But here's the other thing. If you don't like these kinds of movies, if you're put off by them, just don't go see them. Like just because you don't like something doesn't mean other people shouldn't go see it. Like what gives you the right to tell someone what they can and can't watch? Like, I don't like romantic comedies, but am I going to tell people to not see them because they're sinful and they promote a lifestyle I don't agree with? No, I'm going to be like, well, okay, you go enjoy that. I'm not going to see it because why would I? I'm not interested in that movie. Like, again, it's their job to watch these kind of movies, and I get them being sick of it, but it's like, if you're just a regular, average Joe going to the movies, if you don't like this kind of movie, just don't go see it. Like, it's as simple as that.
Total agreement as far as I'm concerned. We go to see these movies, and in a way, I almost feel as if I don't belong in the theater because everybody else apparently...
You really don't. I'm just imagining, like, this image in my head of, like, them going to see, like, I don't know, Friday the 13th, the final chapter, and like you've got all these like teenagers, like rowdy and hoonin' and hollering, and then you got Roger with like his big Dahmer glasses and his poofy hair, and you got Gene Siskel with like his leisure suit and his like bald head, just sitting there like really like kind of timid and nervous while everybody else is like getting rowdy and cheerful. Like, yeah, they really do not belong in that type of crowd.
Went to these movies like this voluntarily. They're happy to be there. They're reacting. I feel like an undercover spy in the dark. I went to see I Spit on Your Grave, and I was sitting next to a fairly nicely dressed, middle-aged man, maybe in his 50s or 60s, who was talking back to the screen with lines like, boy, she's really asking for it now, or, there's a rape scene coming up, this'll be a good one, and so forth. This guy...
Okay, here's the thing. Like, I don't doubt that this guy was in this theater that he went to go see I Spit on Your Grave in. Like, I don't doubt that, but that's just one guy. He's not representative of the entire theater, like the entire...
Well, I mean, what was that guy saying during the latter half of the... Was he disappointed, perhaps? I don't know.
Maybe he just got his rocks off to, her getting raped over and over again. He's like, well, I'm gonna go do something else. Like, maybe he didn't stick around for the second act, but I don't know. Like, again, the problem is not with the movie itself. The problem is with that one awful guy. Like, he's not representative of the entire audience that's seeing I Spit on Your Grave. Like, are there people who get off to I Spit on Your Grave? Yeah, I'm sure there's some people, but it's not like that was the intent of the movie. Like, it's not meant to turn you on. It's meant to make you feel horrified and disgusted that you're watching this, woman being horribly raped and attacked by these guys, like, for what seems like forever.
I will say that kind of the elephant in the room with a lot of these discussions is Roger Ebert wrote Beyond the Valley of the Dolls.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen Beyond the Valley of the Dolls?
It's been a few years, but I have seen it, and it is wild that like he and Siskel like famously lambast exploitation films when Roger Ebert has written at least 2 exploitation films, because he wrote Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, and I believe he also wrote Invasion of the Bee Girls, I think. But again, it's just kind of funny and ironic sort of way.
Serious sex criminal. He has very antisocial attitudes. I felt creepy sitting there.
Not all of the guys, I went and saw the picture too, and I saw a lot of couples on dates. And that gets me worried about another thing. I know a lot of people are wondering, well, people...
Man, I mean, what kind of a... I mean, nothing screams like, first date, like I spit on your grave. Like, that kind of reminds me of this one bit from Seinfeld where Jerry takes a date to Schindler's List and they start making out during the movie. And then for the rest of the episode, people are lambasting Jerry for, taking a girl to see Schindler's List. And instead of being moved by the movie, he's just macking on her the whole time.
And I worry then about this idea, which is that when you view women constantly as sport, being stabbed, I think that's a sort of a sick notion that just sort of makes it's degrading. You view them as second class, that somehow this is acceptable behavior. You said before that all movies tend to argue in favor of the behavior that they show. Mm-hmm. These are women as sport, to be stabbed. I think that's a bad idea. They outlawed bullfighting because of
okay. No, because, sure, a lot of these movies would feature, women and also men being stabbed and whatnot, but it's they're not, it's not like they're being portrayed in a positive light, like, oh, you should go out and, stab somebody through the neck with an arrow, or hit a woman in the face with an axe, or chop someone's fingers off with hedge clippers. It's not like they're saying, oh, you should go out and do this. They're like, no, this is horrifying. You should be scared about what's happening. What are they talking about?
It's cruel.
Well, he just said it, right? That he comes from the school of thought that movies tend to advocate for what they show.
So by that...
He just said that a second ago.
So by that logic, Spielberg is saying, oh, we should open up concentration camps because, look, Schindler's List has concentration camps and Nazis killing people. That means he's clearly advocating for that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and also
it's
just...
I mean, I guess maybe these guys are kind of I'm sure you've heard the phrase "there's no such thing as an anti-war movie."
Yeah.
And I guess maybe these guys are coming from that school of thought where it's you can't show war in a movie. You can't make a spectacle out of war in a movie without being pro-war, even if you're trying not to be.
Yeah. I kind of want to go back just a tad bit.
Mm-hmm. These are women as sport, to be stabbed. I think that's a bad idea. They outlawed bullfighting because it was cruel. I almost have some of the same feeling toward these kinds of films.
These kinds of movies...
What? Okay, here's the thing. Bullfighting, there's actual bulls being, used as sport, as Gene Siskel likes to say. In the horror movies they're talking about, no woman actually gets killed. None of them actually die. It's all fake. It's fictional. What are they talking about? Saying, oh, women are being used as sport, to be stabbed and all that. It's no, I mean, yeah.
Didn't Roar come out around this time?
Yeah, but
granted, I don't think anybody died in Roar, but they got injured.
Yeah, but Roar didn't get a theatrical release in the U.S. It played overseas, but I highly doubt Siskel and Ebert got a chance to see Roar when it came out.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, yeah, I mean, bullfight, it's different. I mean, in a way, it's nowadays we will have gore in movies, so we don't need to watch bullfights or gladiator matches or whatever else people used to use to scratch that itch.
But, well, the point I was trying to make is that they're saying that they're equating bullfighting where an actual, creature in this case gets attacked and killed, and it's for real, with a horror film where it shows a woman being attacked, killed, etc., but it's not actually happening. It's fictitious. It's not real. It's all fake.
Yeah, it's. I mean, this is why I guess, in a way, I think Siskel is. He's thinking more about what that psychologically does to an audience than what it does to the actual players involved. He's just. I think he's just not wording himself right when he says, "Oh, we outlawed them for being cruel." It's well, these movies aren't being cruel to the players involved necessarily, but they are. I think his real problem is that he thinks it has a similar psychological impact on the audience.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you mean by that.
Put some very bad ideas in society in the context of
think so.
entertainment, yes. You know, Gene and I had some long discussions before we decided to do this special program on women in danger in the movies. And frankly, we worried about whether additional publicity for these movies might simply help them out at the box office. We sure hope not. Our intention is to simply report on this trend and to warn suspecting people who might go to these films thinking they're merely good, old-fashioned horror films, the kind a lot of people used to enjoy.
Well, here's the thing. They failed in that regard because, you know, them showing off like Prom Night, The Howling, Don't Go in the House, and all that. I guarantee you most of the people watching this were not thinking, oh, they're right, I should not see these movies. They were probably thinking, oh, they say they hate these movies. I'm going to go see what they hate about them so much. Like, whatever they were trying to do by, like, you know, telling people, oh, don't go see these movies, it backfired to them really hard.
Because there is a difference between good and scary movies and movies that systematically demean half the human race. There is a difference between movies which are violent but entertaining and movies that are gruesome and despicable. There is a difference between a horror movie and a show. And a good example of that is the fact that both of us gave favorable reviews to a very scary 1978 horror film named Halloween. Now, there must be people asking, how could we praise a movie like that and now say these other movies are so terrible?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, here's a scene from Halloween. It's got the same basic situation as all the women in danger movies have. There's a woman alone in a big house. She's being chased by a killer. But let's look at it first and then talk about some of the differences.
Okay, so we've got Jamie Lee Curtis talking with the two kids, like obviously scared of what's happening. Not exactly sure what's so different about this. Okay, so a mass killer is going after her. The music is building up. She's obviously terrified, hiding from him. What exactly is the difference? Again, she's cowering in fear as this guy is trying to break through the closet door to get her. Like, I'm not seeing what's so different about this than in, like, something like Prom Night or Friday the 13th.
Okay, that's Halloween, a horror movie we both think is pretty good.
Very good. Yeah.
One of the things a short scene can't show you is that Halloween is directed and acted with a great deal more artistry and craftsmanship than the sleaze bucket movies we've been talking about. But there's another much more important difference. As you watch Halloween, your basic sympathies are always enlisted on the side of the woman, not with the killer. The movie develops its women characters as independent, intelligent, spunky, and interesting people. Halloween does not hate women.
Yeah, you know, when I saw that scene, I
Yeah, of course, John Carpenter doesn't hate women unless you're Adrienne Barbeau.
I wasn't really worrying about the woman as much as I was placing myself in that closet and thinking about that killer, how I would handle it. And I was also appreciating the fact that I think Halloween not only doesn't hate women, but it loves film and filmmaking. Music is just fabulous. The way he starts one theme, then lays another thing on top of it, keeping the other theme, really good. Also, the light coming through the slats in that closet. This is a film that's sort of up. That scene is up, and you're jumpy, rather than getting depressed and feeling sorry and feeling sorry that you're even watching it. An upbeat thing.
You know, I think
a woman being attacked by a killer and hiding in a closet is what you consider an upbeat thing. Like, what?
Well, he means that it's exciting instead of depressing, basically.
Yeah.
That's a thing, Siskel. He thinks horror movies should be, you know, it should be like keeping you on the edge of your seat. You shouldn't be watching a horror movie and just feel depressed. Whereas I think there's a place for depressing horror in the world.
Yeah, but I mean, like, so you're saying that, like, you weren't, like, going on that logic, like, you know, the chase in the in Friday the 13th when Alice is being chased by Mrs. Voorhees.
Hey,
like,
your thing isn't sharing anymore. Your thing isn't sharing anymore.
God damn it. Okay, give me a sec. I'm gonna switch scenes. I don't know why this happens, but sometimes Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, just all right. I will do that, Sora. Thank you so much for the donation. Let me go back. Okay. Just pulled it up. You should be able to see the screen now.
I'm just. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. On. Yeah, I see it again.
Okay. But yeah, Sora Trash, Sora Trash, thank you so much. Donated $10 saying hydrate nerd. Well, I will do just that. I got my water right here. It's good. H2O. But anyway, so yeah, let's get back to these two clowns.
I think what you're touching on here is that artistry can redeem any subject matter.
Sure.
That's why I've always been opposed to censorship. I don't believe any subject matter should be off base.
Right.
The question
Yeah,
is,
you know, we don't advocate for censorship. We believe every movie should be allowed to be shown, but we're going to tell you why you shouldn't watch these movies instead. And, you know, in a few years, we're going to tell you about this other movie that you shouldn't go see, you know. But no, we totally don't support censorship.
what does the artist do with it? How does he look at it? How does he put it through his art in order to make a statement about it, or make it into either a commercial film or a serious film? I believe that in the case of a movie like Halloween, we can engage in that joy of filmmaking that you talk about. It's not the case with the other films that really address themselves to the lowest possible common denominator.
So we're not knocking scary pictures.
No.
Per se, just a certain kind. And just to make the point one final time, differentiate the films we're talking about from something good like Halloween. The films that we're dealing with here don't have the artistry of Halloween. These women in danger films all really boil down to just one same
I was
image.
gonna say even the tape is wanting them to like knock the shit off with how much it's messing up.
Well,
disturbing
there's some VHS glitching. I'm getting pretty scared watching this. How about you?
Oh no, it's gonna turn into one of the VHS movies that I actually haven't seen.
A woman screaming in abject terror.
So they mentioned that there's no artistry in the other slasher films. I would argue that, like, even though I don't think Sean Cunningham is as good of a director as John Carpenter, I would say the original Friday the 13th has some really good artistry with like the POV shots and the camera angles. Like he, you know, say what you will about Sean Cunningham, but in the first Friday the 13th, he does a good job of like building mood and suspense. I mean, obviously not as good as Carpenter does, but I think to say like the other movies don't have any artistry behind them is kind of insulting.
That's really the degrading essence of what's going on in these pictures, and in that one they even slow it down in slow motion. That's all that's about, is just that sick image of the woman cowering in a corner. As to what people can do about these films, this trend in the movies that we've been spotlighting, I think that people have to realize that the box office speaks louder than just two film critics. So if one of these films is around, if you have an idea that it might be around, stay away.
Right, and how do you know
Yeah,
what
exactly. You know, if you don't like these types of movies, just don't go see them. Like that's really all it boils down to. And you know, maybe also I don't know, find the address of like one of the actresses from the movie and tell your fans to like send her hate mail for being in this movie. But you know, other than that, just you know, if you don't like these kind of movies, don't go see them. You know, just don't do that.
films to stay away from? Usually you can tell the ads. R-rated, usually has a knife or a hatchet or an axe, a girl screaming, some guy in a hood.
Yes.
These movies are junk. Give them a pass.
Okay, so much for this week's journey into sick movies. Next week, the films have to get better. How can they be any worse? Next time, we'll review 5 new films on sneak previews. Until then, see you at the movies.
All right, so that was the Siskel and Ebert Women in Danger. Yeah, their takes are just as bad as they were back when I first saw this video, like however many years ago. Mimi, what are your thoughts on them talk about, you know, your kind in danger?
Well, I think I already have kind of shared a lot of my thoughts. I guess my thing with horror films is that, well, I think it's the difference kind of between Ebert and I is summed up in one of their other in their review of Friday the 13th Part 4 when he's like, "Oh, this movie just wants to convince you that the world is a terrible place and it'll kill you and it doesn't matter if you have hopes or dreams or if you have a new boyfriend or a girlfriend, the world is just this terrible place and it's going to kill you for no reason. And I'm like, well, I mean, that's the thing, the world is a scary place, and that's what horror movies are for. They're for showing that.
Yeah. Plus, it real.
But Roger Ebert doesn't. I guess Roger Ebert has a more optimistic view of the world than I do.
Yeah. Which what's funny though is
he wants that to be reflected in movies.
yeah. Which it's funny that you mentioned that because in his review of Friday the 13th, the final chapter, he goes on about that. But then years later, when he reviewed Jason X, he was just like, "Yeah, I just didn't think it was a good movie." Which, fair, but again, it just kind of shows you how in the early days he was like, "Oh no, woe is like the plight of women, that these movies are representing them in like this way." But then years later, he's like, "Nah, I just didn't really like the movie." Like, I don't know. It's just funny how that is. But anyway, so another review of theirs I wanted to bring up because of the holidays is their infamous review of Silent Night, Deadly Night, which there is one version of it that's on YouTube, but it's like really bad quality. But there's another one that like isn't the whole thing, but there are like little clips of it here and there that's in like slightly better quality. Which would you rather watch, like the small bits that are in decent quality, or would you rather watch the full, or at least like most of it, but it's in like shittier quality?
Well, if the better quality version has all the clips you think are relevant, we can watch that. If it doesn't, we can watch the poor quality.
Plus the other video actually has footage from the producer of Silent Night, Deadly Night directly calling out Roger Siskel and Ebert, so I think it actually might be a bit more fitting. So let me pull it up right here. Let me first make sure that you can still see my screen. Looks like you can. Okay. So let me go back to Streamlabs. This is an Entertainment Tonight segment from back in the day on Silent Night, Deadly Night, which, for those of you who don't know, this movie was very controversial when it came out. Like, there were people protesting the movie and, like, trying to get it pulled from theaters, and it was insane.
Silent Night, Deadly Night, that's the one with Santa as the axe murderer. Well, it's coming back. Dick Shoemaker has that story in our news studio.
I'll skip ahead to the bit with the producer.
Trying again.
It'll play in every part of the country, including back where in some places it began to play and was pulled.
Okay, let me just skip ahead to
the movie that shocked America.
Oh, here we go.
And Silent Night, Deadly Night now has the distinction of joining I Spit on Your Grave as one of the two most contemptible films I've seen. And I don't mean to think it's campy, really is quite awful.
But the producer claims critics had other motives for reviewing the film.
They were coming off an enormous amount of publicity on that picture, and I think that they knew that by reviewing that picture on their show, they would get higher ratings.
And Ira Richard Barmack produced it. People have nothing to be proud of, even if you made a few bucks off of all the negative publicity. Your profits truly are blood money.
Which that point he makes right there, that their profits are blood money. It's like, no, they're not. Nobody died making a Silent Night, Deadly Night. It's not blood money. Get over it. And also, I do really side with this producer that it's like, yeah, Siskel and Ebert, like, if they really did not like Silent Night, Deadly Night, and they didn't want people to see it, just don't talk about it. Don't acknowledge it. But the fact that they did acknowledge it indirectly gave the movie more publicity, and it gave their show some more publicity in that, oh, it's this new movie that everybody's like saying is so depraved and sick. Like, maybe let's talk about it, and then we can make some publicity of our own talking about how deplorable it is. I think Mimi might be dead, so let's just
Garbage Day. That's a funny meme.
Wrong.
Related to the movie.
Well,
they're talking about.
That's the second one, not the first one.
And shame on you.
It is. I know.
I don't believe you. I think it was the height of hypocrisy for them to.
They had to say the funny
meme. They genuinely were horrified at the picture. They know well that the most effective thing they could have done is to not review the picture.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I just said.
And yes, we even see Santa give one little girl a bloody knife as a gift and threaten another little girl with physical.
If you're streaming right now, I can't see it.
Okay, give me a sec. I'm gonna fix that. I don't know why. Discord just sucks. Discord is like the absolute worst. Okay, no wait, not that screen. Stop streaming. Let me actually try something. I'm just going to share my whole screen. You should be able to see it now. So let me go back to Streamlabs, Zoom. Okay. Hang on. Let me check the chat really quick. See what they're saying. I like Sora CNO is saying, yeah, in what way is it blood money? Exactly. And then she says like, do 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 do. Oh, and Dr. Storm, which, hey, what's up, says, now that's a funny meme. And Sora says, how dare Santa gift a bloody knife, the horror. Well, the thing about Silent Night, Deadly Night, and I don't think they touch on this in the review, but the thing about the movie is the main character who becomes the killer. What makes that movie so unique is that we follow his progression. Like, as a kid, we see him witness his parents getting killed by a guy dressed as Santa, and then when he's in an orphanage being raised by nuns, they basically instill in him the idea that punishment is necessary and that punishment is good. So then when he grows up, he believes that Santa punishes the naughty people, and then he dresses up as Santa and gets so drunk he believes he is Santa. So in his mind, as the Punisher, he has to go out and punish people. And the only reason why he gives a little girl a bloody knife is because that he used that same knife to cut up his girlfriend in the toy store, and it was like his own demented way of giving a good girl like a gift. Like, I don't know. I'm probably rambling on too much about it.
Physical punishment.
I'm hearing like an echo whenever you talk. I'm not sure if the people at home are doing.
Oh,
I'm hearing my voice.
Oh, okay. Hang on. That might be. Let me check something. I don't know what's going on with that. Let me see here. Output device. Let me try. Let's see here. I think it. Let me try this. Okay. See if that changed anything. Because I don't think anybody else is. Okay. Hang on. Let me try fixing that. Okay, let's see. That might have been something I mess up on. Let me switch. Okay, I switched that out. Let's see. Let me actually check the stream. Okay, yeah, Sora is saying that there's no echo, so there might not be an echo on their end. Let me check. Okay. No, it looks like everything should be fine. Yeah, I'm not hearing any sort of echo. Yeah.
Okay, well, if it's only something I can. Well, I don't know. I'm hearing my own voice again.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure what to do about that. Yeah. Hang on, let me actually see if maybe it has something to do with the fact that I was streaming my screen. Let me try doing it as an application instead. See if that works.
Yeah, that'll probably help.
Okay. Let me go ahead and zoom.
Yeah, you sound fine now.
You might think that it would be funny, Roger, or it's played as quite sick in the film.
I find it so amazing that if you say a guy gets into a Santa Claus suit and he's driven over the line, that people don't on the face of it see why that's funny.
Silent Night, Deadly Night opens in 93 theaters tomorrow in North.
Well, the funny thing is, like, okay, so I mentioned before that people were protesting the movie, trying to get it pulled from theaters. It actually indirectly worked because not the protests themselves that got it pulled, but what happened was, so the movie was released by TriStar, who at the time were owned by Coca-Cola, and Coca-Cola, before they put out discussing AI-generated ads, were known for reintroducing Santa Claus through their Christmas ads, and there were ads with Santa drinking Coke next to ads with Santa holding an axe, and Coke got wind of that, and the protesters were like, okay, you got to get this thing pulled immediately, and they did, but then TriStar was trying to say, oh, we had to pull the movie because we didn't think it was commercially viable enough for a wide release, when it's like, no, that's complete horseshit, because what it was playing, it was only in like a small part of the country, but in like the 2 weeks it was playing, it actually did better in its second week than in its first. And the producer said that if they had gone to a wide release, it would have made at least like $20 million in its opening weekend. So them saying it wasn't commercially viable enough is like complete and utter horseshit. Anyway, oh, sorry. Was I rambling a little too much for you?
No, it's fine. I just don't know what to I just don't know what to say to all that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I'm checking the chat right now, and Source says, as a horror/gore enthusiast since H2, I adore the oldies faux movies like that. It's so campy, it's funny. I mean, in the original Silent Night, Deadly Night, it's not. I mean, I guess it is kind of campy in the sense that it's a guy dressed as Santa killing people, but the movie doesn't portray it in a necessarily campy way. Like, it's meant to be, kind of disturbing. But anyway, we could go on and on about that. So one review that Mimi pointed me to that I didn't initially think about was their review of the movie Spawn, which I vaguely remember watching it like a long time ago. I don't remember too much other than just how bad the CGI was in the movie. But she was telling me about, in Discord about how Ebert said that he loved the visions of hell and all that, which for those of you who don't know, the CGI in the Spawn movie is pretty bad. Like, even for the time, it's awful. But I might show a little bit of that just to kind of show what I'm talking about. But their review is pretty hilarious. So let me just pull that up. And maybe you can still see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, here's the review of Spawn.
To deal with the devil and is reincarnated as a creature named Spawn in the new movie based on the comic book about a battle-scarred warrior. And where did I learn that? Well, from Newsweek, frankly. It gave me a little bit of a plot summary. Spawn took about 2 minutes to lose me right away in its prologue. All I know is that a former government hitman, played by Michael J.
Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong, because the movie is a huge mess. So let me skip ahead to when he starts talking about the movie, or at least giving his thoughts on it, rather.
Who found superpowers is a mentor played by Nicole Williamson.
Realize your objective.
I can't tell. As I mentioned, I can't tell a lie. I got a lot of the plot explanation from reading this Newsweek article on Spawn. The movie was all over the map. I couldn't have claimed to figure it out, and I wouldn't try. What's worse, I didn't care to figure it out. All that it really is about, to me at least, is special effects. I was turned off by Spawn, and ultimately I was bored by Spawn.
Well, I dismissed the story basically because I wasn't interested.
So this is the point that Mimi wanted to talk about with Ebert on the movie, is how he discusses the movie's portrayal of hell, which in context is pretty funny.
And like all comic book stories, it's a loop anyway because there has to be a sequel. But I thought this was an extremely interesting movie.
Really?
It was directed by Mark DePay, the man who created the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park.
Like those better.
And the Mercury Man in Terminator 2.
Like that better.
And what he does here with his visions of hell, which you didn't even mention, are truly worthy of a medieval artist or Hieronymus Bosch. The visions of what hell looks like in this movie are things we've never seen before on screen.
I like how you can tell Siskel is like, Roger, what the fuck are you talking about?
And that dragon-like character, the kind of overgrown gecko, as they call him, who was the beast of hell, that's a wonderful animated and special effects creation.
It didn't stand out for me.
And then what about Clown? Now, first of all, Clown's wisecracks are very funny.
All right, just because I don't know if the stream will get taken down for copyright. I don't care, because I just want to show, just to give people an idea of what he's talking about, with how, like, quote unquote beautiful hell is. Here we go.
Yeah.
Let me skip ahead. Just to give an idea. Let's see, because I'm trying to find a good shot. Where is? Okay, here we go. Yeah, I found it. All right. So just to put it in context, this is what Roger Ebert was gushing over with Spawn. So just watch. Again, Roger Ebert thought this looked wonderful.
If If you won't lead my army, then you must die.
Yeah, this totally doesn't look like something you would have seen out of a late gen PS1 game from the time. No, this is like truly the height of like, you know, what movie effects can achieve, like truly.
I mean, Roger Ebert.
Bring me.
I mean, he was a sucker for like. I mean, yeah, I get it. It was the 90s. A lot of, you know, CG was still kind of this exciting thing, but it's in movies, but like really, I mean, it's just fascinating to me that he sees something I don't, I guess, that to him this is like worthy, like he said, it's worthy of the paintings of Hieronymus Bosch.
Yeah. Oh, real quick, I love Mushroom's comment here, which I think sums things up. He says, "Just came back and I thought we were watching a deleted scene from Nostalgia Critics The Wall for a second." I mean, that right there tells you how bad the CGI in Spawn is. It looks like something Doug Walker could have come up with.
Well, no, I think that Sam Finna, I mean, his CG is like, I mean, I would call him kind of an outsider CG artist, but in some ways, I think his stuff is more visually interesting than what Spawn had.
Yeah.
Very funny. At one point, he says, George Bailey and I'm Clarence. I thought that was fun. But the other, John Leguizamo plays this character as a fat little midget. And how did they do that? What an interesting creature this is.
They did it by having him...
You can't say that anymore, Roger.
Well, no, he can't because he's dead. But they did it by having him literally squat down. Like, it's not exactly like this, you know, amazing technique. They literally just had the actor, like, squatting down the whole time. Like... I don't know.
This character of
Although I will give him credit that as not good as the Spawn movie is, John Leguizamo is unironically one of the best things about the movie, just for how like over the top and fun his character is.
And he really looks like the comic character brought to life, the way that they visualized him, but just all the makeup and prosthetics on him. I will say this though, they kind of in the movie version they kind of just made Violator like a Beetlejuice type character, you know, where he's just fast talking, wisecracking, doing different impressions and stuff. I mean, I like, you know, you watch like the other adaptation, the animated adaptation of Spawn, and in that he's like much creepier, but you know, I think there's room for both in the world.
It's fair.
Is more interesting than any villain that Batman has had.
Danny DeVito was more interesting, frankly, playing essentially the same character, but I think playing him seriously. This clown guy, did you enjoy all the flatulence jokes?
I mean, yeah, that's not untrue. I mean, even though I do enjoy John Leguizamo as the Violator, I think Danny DeVito did a much better job as the Penguin. Like, even if his Penguin isn't 100% accurate to the comics, I think DeVito acted circles around Leguizamo. But then again, there are two different performances for two different movies.
Gas bag jokes and all that stuff?
Yeah, that was part of the whole thing. This
that's
guy
funny
is
to you?
supposed
At
to
this
be
point in your life, that's funny?
Funny, Gene. It's not
I love that. Just how Siskel's like, so you think that's funny? And just look how disgusted Ebert is. Like, yeah, I thought it was funny. What? Fuck you.
It's funny. It's that it's part of his personality. He's an extremely obnoxious and hateful little creature because the movie is in a disreputable genre.
Just like you, Roger.
I think you're not looking at the real achievement.
Wait a minute. I just said I like the first Batman movie, and particularly, it's not disreputable, it's how it's done. And you're comparing the visual style to Bosch? Well, good luck.
I just love that. Well, good luck. Okay, so, Mimi, you mentioned before, you know, talk about Elm Street 3, which I do agree. I mean, my personal favorite is still the original, but I love Elm Street 3. Well, apparently Siskel and Ebert weren't too fond of Elm Street 3. In fact, they both gave it a thumbs down. So let's see why they...
Yeah, you know, I would expect that they would.
Well, let's at least... Hang on, real quick. Dr. Storm in the chat says, John Leguizamo was in Zootopia 2, but not as a sloth. He was an anteater, which is also in the order Xenarthra. Huh, that's interesting.
movie by the Code and Ratings Administration, and I wonder what they made of our next movie called The Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 and subtitled Dream Warriors. I would have enjoyed them watching this film.
Yeah, this one's a little loud. I'm going to turn the volume down just a tad bit.
I don't know. That's not as bad as Angel Heart. This is the latest chapter in the popular Elm Street saga, which is sort of a high-rent Friday the 13th, made with more intelligence and better production values, which is still
not saying much.
Sort of faint praise. But I've got to give them credit for trying. This is a good-looking movie, and I want to say that, especially since I didn't like it so much. The movie's about a bunch of kids who share the same terrifying dream about a monstrous man who is chasing them all night long. His name is Freddy, and he's a child killer.
We'll skip past these parts. Let's just skip ahead to hear them talk about the movie.
Just from the technological point of view, those are pretty good special effects there. But if they're worried about the blood and sex scene in Angel Heart, what did they make of the one in Nightmare Part 3, where a young patient has a nightmare that he's being seduced by a nurse, and the camera lingers on the nurse's nudity. She ties him to a bed with human tongues, then suspends him over the fires of hell. Those are pretty strong images, and fairly disturbing ones, especially considering this movie is being pitched to teenagers and young teenagers.
Ones.
Don't talk to me about the R rating. They know exactly who they want to see this movie. But the fact is, I see a lot of horror movies as part of the movie beat. It's part of the job. And basically, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 is not out of line. That's what horror movies look like these days. It's kind of, you know,
I mean, yeah, that was the trope of, that was the look of the time. That was what a lot of 80s movies aspire to be in. And also, I like how they compare it to Angel Heart, which is like, Mimi, have you ever seen Angel Heart?
Sadly, no. So I can't. I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah. For just to give the Cliff Notes version, basically it's about this private investigator played by Mickey Rourke, who's hired by this mysterious guy played by Robert De Niro, who may or may not be the devil, to look for a man who's been missing for years. And I can't really give much more away than that, especially because it's been a few years since I've seen it. But it's a very dark, very moody, very adults-oriented, like, mystery thriller. Like, it's not... Basically, what I'm trying to say is, like, them comparing Angel Heart to Nightmare on Elm Street 3 is like comparing, I don't know, Psycho to Sorority, like, Slumber Party Massacre 2. Like, they're completely opposite ends of the spectrum. Like, I don't get why they would compare the two. I mean, other than the fact that they came out the same year, why they would make that comparison. It's like, yeah, of course, teens are going to see Elm Street 3. It's like, don't get me wrong, Angel Heart's a great movie, but that movie's not really made for the same audience as like Elm Street 3. At least I don't think so.
I had seen this movie when I was 13. I wouldn't have slept until I was 21. It's amazing.
Well, that might have had an interesting impact on your life. The thing here is...
Okay, I gotta...
I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, I mean, I'm not going to say it's an... I mean, it does have scary things in it. I mean, just the idea of these kids being haunted by this guy in their dreams and none of the adults believing him, obviously, is scary. The whole puppet kill scene is pretty scary, but it's like, it's kind of a camp horror film in a lot of ways. And I mean, there are horror movies out there that are much more relentlessly frightening. I think there's actually kind of a hopeful, optimistic element to Nightmare on Elm Street 3, especially if you compare it to like some of the other movies in the same franchise. The others that came before it. There's this kind of, hey, we can, we can manipulate the dream world too. We can fight back against Freddy, and it's. Like I said, there's kind of I'm just saying there are a lot of more horror movies that are much more hopeless and much more bleak than Nightmare on Elm Street 3. I don't think it's. I think it's strange to pick on it in particular as this ultra scary film.
Yeah, no, I exactly. I agree with your point.
That you don't like the film, and I don't like the film. And I think the reason that I don't like the film is, frankly, the special effects didn't stun me that much. I was more struck by the original one, where the guy with the knives coming out of his fingers. That frightened me a little bit, and then I thought the film just overdid it. Here, I've seen some of this stuff before. That snake reminds me immediately of Aliens, the alien creature, just writ large here. There just wasn't a whole lot new here. A bunch of kids are being...
I mean, I don't know, like, because I'm trying to think of like horror films that came out around the same time. Like, I can't really think of a movie that had a similar like effect to like the Freddy Snake in 3. I mean, I guess the puppet, like, there were movies that came out before with stop motion, but I don't know. I would say a lot of the visuals in 3 were pretty unique, especially for the time. Like, I can't think of too many other movies from that same time period that had quite the same kind of visual aesthetics and effects as Elm Street 3.
I mean, a guy having all the entrails ripped out of his arms and used to puppet him like a marionette to his death.
Yeah.
Freddy's the robot arms coming out of the TV, grabbing somebody and shoving their head into it to kill them. I mean, some of these visuals are pretty kind of exotic. They're kind of exotic, strange visuals, especially for a slasher film. So I don't quite agree with Gene Siskel's just being bored by them.
Yeah, exactly.
And I got bored.
Yeah, basically this is a very high-tech dead teenager movie.
Yes, that's all it is.
And in a horror film, I feel that unless I can identify with the characters and believe in the characters, then I'm not involved.
Sure.
The secret that Hitchcock always knew is that you start out with the mundane. You start out with everyday lives of ordinary, uninteresting people, and then suddenly all of these horrible things happen all around them. In this movie, you start out with special effects, you get them for 2 hours, and so what?
Yes, so we stand outside the movie, pushed back by the special effects, and not entering into the movie through a character like Hitchcock used, like Cary Grant or Jimmy Stewart.
So what they're
now, I found the characters in Nightmare on Elm Street 3 believable enough for what they are. They each at least have a distinguishing trait. I mean, you could argue they're one-dimensional, but they're not zero-dimensional like a lot of other slasher movie characters.
Yeah, like, and their whole point about like, these characters, like, the characters like, starting off in like a normal situation and then something horrifying happens. That's exactly what happens in Elm Street 3. Like, these, normal troubled teens are thrust in this awful situation and they're working together to make the most of it. And to say that he doesn't identify with like, you're telling, I don't know. I
mean,
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
That's what happens more in Nightmare on Elm Street 1, right? That's where and in Nightmare on Elm Street 2, right? We start with a more normal person, and then there's like maybe an opening nightmare, but it's a normal person living a normal life. And then Nightmare on Elm Street 3, instead, it's like troubled teens in a mental institution. And it's like, why can't a horror movie be about that? Why does it have to be about, I guess, a normal person? Why can't it be about troubled teens in a mental institution?
Yeah. But anyway, so kind of switching gears from horror to, well, something a bit more not horror. So one review I remembered from Siskel Ebert that I always thought was funny was their review for Home Alone 3, which, and let me actually, I don't think this one has, let me see here, because I found a video that should have their review of Home Alone. Okay, yeah, it does. Okay, so their review of Home Alone 3, I think, is hilarious because Siskel has the opinion of everybody else that it sucks, but Ebert says he claims that he believes Home Alone 3 is actually better than the first two, which is just so jaw-dropping. And just hearing Siskel's response to it, I think, is pretty hysterical. So I guess real quick, Mimi, what are your thoughts on Home Alone 3, the one that doesn't have Macaulay Culkin in it?
Well, I mean, I remember seeing it once when I was younger, and it didn't leave a strong impression on me at all. It was just, I mean, I remember they had this weird angle where it's like spies going after technology who the kid has to thwart. So it's like, instead of being a couple of bumbling crooks, you get these spies who should probably know better what they're doing, but are still getting bested by this wily child.
Yeah.
Guys ever run out of gas? Even the star, Macaulay Culkin, is gone. But if his cute little self were in this picture, it wouldn't have made any difference.
Closed again.
Damn it. Okay. Give me a second. Okay. Let me just switch gears. Again, gotta love when Discord decides to just be like, nope, you're not going to stream anymore. Screw you. Okay, so let me go back to Streamlabs, switch back to the Zoom, and I just want to back up just a tad bit.
Guys ever run out of gas. Even the star, damn it, he writes it as good as it gets. Okay, next movie. Next film is Home Alone 3. Boy, has this franchise ever run out of gas. Even the star, Macaulay Culkin, is gone. But if his cute little self were in this picture, it wouldn't have made any difference. Home Alone 3 is a stupid slapstick piece of juvenilia as a suburban Chicago kid is home alone, defending himself against constant attack by 4 thugs trying to recover a stolen Air Force computer chip that has mistakenly wound up in his possession.
Yeah, we'll just skip past.
That's the other thing. It's like 4 bad guys instead of just 2, and none of them are as memorable as the 2 from the first 2 movies are.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, another fun fact, if memory serves, this movie is directed by Raja Gosnell, who some of you may not know the name, but you've seen at least one of his movies, because he also directed Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed, Beverly Hills Chihuahua, Show Dogs, Smurfs 1 and 2. He's been around for quite a long time.
And that goes on and on to the point of nausea. If this movie had a theme song, it would be Dumbbells Keep Falling on My Head. The story makes no sense. I feel for every family that's going to be suckered into seeing Home Alone 3.
Now, this is going to astound you, but I'm giving the movie thumbs up.
It does astound me. Are you okay?
Better than
I like how Siskel's just like, are you okay? Like, is there something wrong with you?
Or the day that you like Starship Troopers.
Oh, no.
I'll tell you why I like the movie. This movie empowers little kids. This is the one where they finally got it right. I liked it better than the other 2.
Than the original Home Alone?
Again, just the way Siskel is like so perplexed by this. Like, you like this better than the first movie?
Little kids love the idea that they can somehow affect the outcome, that they can have power over grown-ups, that they can defend themselves and be smart and think about things.
He hammers
and
thugs
in this
in the
movie,
first
it's
one.
not as violent as the second one. The kid is charming. He really is a good little actor. And the plot is smarter than the other.
I'm sorry. I just love Siskel's faces here when he's... Let me go back.
Be smart and think about things. And in this movie, it's not as violent as the second one. The kid is charming. He really is a good little actor. And the plot is smarter.
Hang on.
I completely disagree. I thought the kid was generic.
Good little actor. And
yeah, just that face right there. He's like, Roger, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Like, this movie's dog shit. What are you going on about here?
And the plot is smarter than the other.
We completely disagree. I thought the kid was generic mop top, and I thought that the Home
come
Alone...
on, that kid?
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah, there are only 2 kids.
He's very good.
Culkin's better. And the other thing is, it's the same plot as the first one, only more bumps to the head.
The second, they're all the same plot.
But what you just said that this one empowers him more than the other one. Absolutely not true.
That's the secret of the... That's why kids love these movies, because they love the fantasy that they have power.
But it's overdone. Overkill here.
Not for
overkill.
Not for
you.
Okay, coming up later, Woody Allen.
I don't know. I just love those reviews the most. The ones where like you can tell that like one has a different opinion than the other, and they just like really disagree with them on it. Let me see here. Let me pull up probably another one of the more infamous reviews. The review of Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I referenced this one earlier because I think this kind of spells out why Ebert and I disagree about horror movies.
Yeah. And of course, this one's also notable for being the review that inspired Brad Jones to create the Cinema Snob. So let me just skip through here. I guess real quick, Mimi, I'm assuming you've seen Friday the 13th, the final chapter.
Yes, I have, and your stream just cut off yet again.
Fucking god damn it! I seriously want to find.
Yeah,
I want to find this.
I'm not. I will say I'm not the biggest fan of the Friday the 13th movies, but I have seen them, and that includes Part 4.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've seen all the Friday the 13th movies, and the final chapter is actually one of my favorites of the series. I think it's the most moody. It's got great characters. It's got some fantastic kills. I think it's actually probably one of the more terrifying Friday the 13th movies. Part 4 is actually one of my personal favorites of the series.
After an immoral and reprehensible piece of trash
that sold more tickets on its opening weekend than any other movie so far in 1984, and that is a very, very depressing commentary. It really makes me sad to think of all those moviegoers spending $4.50, $5, most of them teenage kids, sitting there watching this sad, cynical, depressing movie. Now, needless to say, Paramount Studios, the distributor of this film, didn't authorize any clips of the film for use on television. They like to make the money, but maybe they're a little bit ashamed of the movie. They like to hide it from critics like...
I mean, he kind of has a point because, like, even though the movies were making a lot of money back then, Paramount was, I don't want to say ashamed of it, but they kind of resented the fact that, like, their more prestigious pictures were floundering while Friday the 13th and Star Trek were making big bucks at the box office. So he kind of has a point, but I don't know. I still feel like he's kind of stretching it a bit.
Ourselves, but here are some scenes from the Coming Attractions trailer showing that the fourth Friday the 13th movie is just a cynical retread of the first three.
3 times before, you have felt Jason is moves like a shadow. Jason's reign of terror is over.
Yeah, real great. Jason, you can't hear him, you can't see him, he hardly even breathes. He's the latest word in leading men from the geniuses at Paramount Pictures. You get the idea. Friday the 13th, the final chapter, is 90 minutes of teenagers being strangled, stabbed, impaled, chopped up, and mutilated. That's all this movie is just mindless.
No, you don't forget about Crispin Glover's legendary dance scene, or, I don't know, Teddy telling him that he's a dead fuck, or Corey Feldman making these elaborate, like, monster masks and playing video games while wearing an alien mask. Like, can you, like, come on, don't forget
Well,
about
I will
that.
say this, Roger Ebert was just talking about how kids like Home Alone because it's kid empowerment. There's an element of kid empowerment to Friday the 13th Part 4 insofar as Corey Feldman's character, he is kind of the one to solve things at the end.
Yeah, he's the one that kills Jason in the end of the movie.
Bloody violence. And just think of the message this film offers to its teenage audience. The world is a totally evil place, this movie says. It'll kill you. It doesn't matter what your dreams and hopes and ambitions are. It doesn't matter if you have a new boyfriend or a new girlfriend or you've got plans for the future. You can forget those plans because you're going to wind up dead. There is literally nothing else in this movie. And the sickest thing is, this is...
Okay, Roger, you need to get off your soapbox, buddy. You're reading way, way too much into this. It's just a slasher film.
Well, no, I mean, a lot of horror movies are about how the world is a scary place, but the world is a scary place, Roger. Why are you so optimistic about it?
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, that is a good point, but I also just feel like he's like overreaching with, you know, saying that these movies are about how the world is a cruel place. Like, no, they're not trying to send some kind of message. They're just trying to make a fun, you know, kitschy horror film about horny teenagers being killed by a masked maniac. Like,
yeah, I will say that I don't think the Friday the 13th movies are sophisticated enough to have really a message about the human condition like the world, like Roger Ebert is attributing to them. But just horror movies in general are about how scary place, which it is. So
yeah,
and I think Roger Ebert, you know, he views the world through rose-tinted glasses, perhaps.
Yeah.
That's just an advertising gimmick. The ending clearly sets up a sequel. And what I want to know is, I wonder if they're going to be heartless.
Well, that's another fair point, is him mentioning that they're obviously setting up for a sequel because I remember in interviews, Frank Mancuso Jr., who was like the head, like one of the main producers of Paramount, who was like kind of shepherding this series. He has said in interviews that he wanted Part 4 to be the final chapter, but then, you know, it made so much money that they're like, well, we have to get another one out. I call that into question.
No,
like, I get the
no sequel that markets itself as a series finale is ever the actual series finale.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I have a pretty good feeling like they knew that they were probably going to make more of them. Like, even if they were trying to do this we decided to end the series because, you know, we were tired of like all the critics bashing these movies. Like, no, you just wanted to see if you could squeeze more money out of it by saying like, oh, this is going to be the last one for sure. Go see it while you can. And then it's like, fooled you. We're going to make another one.
And cynical enough to make the sequel, because why not? They've already taken the bucket to the cesspool 4 times, sludge. I think the people who made this movie ought to be ashamed of themselves, and that's what I think, Gene.
Yeah.
And I'm going to vote no.
I had a feeling you might.
I like how Siskel is just like, all right, Roger, you got it all out, buddy. Just calm down, okay?
As upset as you did, I don't know whether the teenagers, the message will be of this film that the world is hopeless out there, because I think that anybody who sees this picture will see it either the way you did and I did, which is that it's just a mayhem film, or you might as well watch car accidents edited together, or they will think it's just a lark and just a fun. I don't think anyone's going to take this as a worldview picture. I really don't.
But wait a minute. See, the thing
Yeah,
is
that's the point I was making before. These movies aren't meant to have some kind of serious message about like, oh, the world is such an awful, cruel place, and you're gonna die at any moment. No, I think these movies are just like, we just want to make some fun, silly slashers about horny teens getting killed by a guy with a hockey mask. Like, we're not trying to say anything too deep. We're just trying to make a quick buck off of something that's fun and trendy that young people want to see.
Actually, serious question. Is there any exception to what I just said? Has a movie ever marketed itself as the final movie in a series and actually been the final movie?
Off the top of my head, I mean, there was Resident Evil: The Final Chapter, which there was Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City, but that was not connected to the other Resident Evil movies, so I think that one kind of counts. Let me think. I'm trying to think of another movie that's called The Final Chapter.
Because I'm thinking there's Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter. There's Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday, neither of which are the final Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah.
Then there's Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. Then there's Saw, The Final Chapter. There's Shrek 4 was marketed as the final chapter, and Shrek 5 is coming out soon, etc.
Yeah, but I think in the context of those movies, like with Shrek Forever After, they didn't. I don't know if they necessarily made it with the knowledge that like, if this does well enough, we'll just keep making more of them. Same with like, I'm sorry, my mind's kind of blanking. I've been drinking. But I don't know. I feel like there's a difference between something like that, where it's like maybe they didn't, because like with Saw, like I'm sure they probably intended to make more if it did well enough, but they probably also figured that like, especially with Paranormal Activity coming around, that like they probably weren't going to be able to make any more because those movies were going to rake in so much money. But I think that's different from the case of like Friday the 13th, where it's like, oh, we have a pretty good idea that like, even if we say this is the last one, we're still going to make more because people are going to want to keep seeing these.
The first one, okay.
I thought it was horrible.
The first one was horrible. Then they made the second one.
Yeah.
Then they made the third one in 3D. Then they made this one. By now, all it is the teenagers go to Crystal Lake and they're killed.
Roger, we don't have a dispute about the film. The only point that I'm making, because
have you seen all four of them? What are they trying to tell you?
No. What they're trying to give kids is a roller coaster ride, and instead of the thing of falling off the roller coaster, it's you get stabbed in some way.
Will you get disemboweled and eviscerated?
It's a terrible film. I'm just holding you back a little bit from what sounds a little bit soapboxy in terms of kids are going to take this as this is the way the world is. I don't think they'll do that. But what I am saying is this, that the film is literally about stabbing. In other words, if you like this picture, what you have liked, I believe, is the idea that someone will get a stick put through their body, because that's the essence of this movie. And the surprise is, it's not surprising.
I did probably sound a little soapboxy, but I'll tell you, I'm not.
I like how even Ebert admits that he was like up his own ass there, but I do in a way agree with Siskel's point that this movie is just made for the entertainment value. It's not meant to give a message, but I disagree with this point about like that people are enjoying it because they enjoy the idea of someone being stabbed. Like, they enjoy seeing it in a slasher film because that's what they expect to see. But I don't think that means like, oh, they want to go onto the real world and see real people getting stabbed. Like, I feel like that's, that'd be like me saying like, oh, I love seeing car crashes in like the Mad Max movies, so I'm just gonna go out and crash into some cars myself. I mean, it's not like that at all.
Can I say something? In 2005, did you know that Roger Ebert actually gave a positive review to The Devil's Rejects?
I mean, that's not... Well, granted, like that's later. That's later Roger Ebert. That's not the same Roger who gave the same soapboxy rant about Friday the 13th, the final chapter.
I'm just saying that movie is way more of a the world is a terrible place movie than like a lot of Rob Zombie movies in general have kind of the world is a terrible place message, I think, to them than like Friday the 13th does, because in those movies it's just every character you encounter is awful.
Yeah, but again, I feel like that was, again, I do get your point about the hypocrisy, but I think it's also just that the Roger Ebert who lambasted Friday the 13th, the final chapter, and one of this whole soapbox rant isn't the same Roger that, who didn't like Jason X because he just thought it was a bad movie and gave glowing...
Yeah, he was an older man.
Yeah, he had kind of calmed himself down a bit. But I mean, I don't know. I guess to his credit, like The Devil's Rejects, I think is a fantastic movie. It's, by far and away Rob Zombie's best film. But I do.
I don't want to criticize somebody as a hypocrite for saying two counterintuitive things 21 years apart.
Yeah, exactly.
The kids are going to believe that. I'm saying this is what the message is in the movie. Now, I sat in a theater, and I saw this with some kids, and you watch them coming in. It's an R-rated picture. That means most of the people will be under 17. They're 13, they're 12, they're 14.
Okay, it's garbage.
They're coming in. They're sitting there for 2 hours. This is supposed to be fun. They're told it's fun. They see it advertised on television. It did a lot of business. Their older brothers and sisters went to see it. And what do they see for 2 hours? Just cynical
It's terrible.
defeatism.
It's terrible. It's a terrible film. I think a much more interesting point is that the message that it sends out is not that this is the way the world is, but that now you've really got on the subject, which is that watching girls, and it's mostly girls again, getting stuck is entertainment. See, that's...
I guess they're not going to mention the fact that Crispin Glover gets corkscrew through the hand and then machete to the face, or the one guy who gets the hacksaw to the neck before his head spun around. Or...
Well, is it mostly girls? Well, he said it's mostly girls, so he counted, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I mean, I would say in the Friday the 13th movies, like there are plenty of women who get killed, obviously, but I'd say like a lot of the more gruesome deaths in those movies were done to the men than the women. Like, off the top of my head, I mentioned like, Crispin Glover and Lawrence Monahan who gets stabbed in the back through like a projector screen, or like in the original Friday the 13th, you got Kevin Bacon getting the arrow through the neck, or the one dude who's like pinned to the door with arrows. In part 2, you got the couple that gets stabbed with like a spear, or like Crazy Ralph getting choked out with like a razor wire, or I don't know. Like the point I'm trying to make is that I'd say like, for as many women that get killed in these movies, like the deaths I remember the most from those movies are the ones inflicted to the men, because the men, I would say, get it worse in those movies than the women do, or at least like the men in those movies have more memorable death scenes than the women do.
Yeah, I think the most memorable death in part 2 for sure is the guy in the wheelchair getting a meat cleaver to the face and tumbling down those long flights of stairs.
Yeah, which I do feel bad laughing at that, but then I remember that like in the movie the character's not meant to be like handicapped. They explained that like he had some kind of injury that he's recovering from, so it's not like he was going to be stuck in that wheelchair for the rest of his life.
Or that one who just gets killed by a random pissed off axe to the that has nothing to do with Jason in the 5th movie.
Oh, well, then again...
That's such a great scene.
Yeah, well, spoiler, of course, in part 5, Jason's not actually the killer. It's the paramedic who pretends to be... But that's a whole other thing.
That this is legitimate entertainment, too. That you can go to a theater
and the movie
and pay for
doubled its money in its first weekend.
Okay.
Isn't that wonderful?
All right, coming up next...
Yeah, okay. So that was them, soapboxing about Friday the 13th, the final chapter, which I just think is silly. Let me see. What's another review of theirs?
Weren't we going to look at their Blue Velvet review?
Oh yeah, that's right. I completely forgot about
because
that.
Because I think that's relevant to the whole women in danger topic. Because because here's them basically. I mean, Ebert kind of being similar complaints against a somewhat more highbrow movie.
Yeah, and actually, real quick, Blue Velvet is, because I've seen a fair amount of David Lynch's movies. Blue Velvet is by far my favorite David Lynch film. I mean, a large part of it is for Dennis Hopper's performance, but I think it's very moody. It's got great atmosphere. The performances in it are great. You know, Kyle MacLachlan, Isabella Rossellini, Laura Dern, Brad Dourif, Dean Stockwell. It's got a great soundtrack. And I always love just the whole idea of like, you know, on the outside, this like really pleasant, very happy looking town has this like deep, dark underbelly. Like, I don't know. There's just so much about Blue Velvet I love.
I'll say this. I love the movie too. Blue Velvet is one of my favorite films of all time. It's one of 2 David Lynch movies I put on that list, the other being The Straight Story.
All right.
Blue Velvet, and already this movie has caused a firestorm around the country, with some advanced reviews calling it a masterpiece and others calling it sick and depraved, and still others calling it a sick, depraved masterpiece. The movie takes place in a small town where a young couple...
I'll just skip past the bits where... let's see here. I don't know if I want to show like any clips of it. Well, I'll show at least one, mostly just because it's got Dennis Hopper, and he's the best part of the movie.
Husband and son have been kidnapped by a perverted drug addict who has made her his slave.
Who is this?
A friend. He's from the neighborhood. We were just talking.
Oh. You're from the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Your neighbor. Well, what's your name, neighbor?
Jeffrey. He's a good kid, Frank.
Hey, you want to go for a ride?
No, thanks.
No, thanks. What does that mean?
I don't want to go.
Go where?
For a ride.
A ride. Hell, that's a good idea. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Get your robe.
That's Dennis Hopper as the bad guy there. Blue Velvet is a movie that really challenges you to think about your reactions to it. And my reaction is, I think this movie is cruelly unfair to its actors. It was directed by David Lynch, the same man who made Eraserhead and Dune. And he's a talented director. You can see that here in scenes that have a lot of power. But he asked Isabella Rossellini in this movie to be undressed and humiliated on the screen, as few actresses ever have been, certainly in non-porno roles. And then he tries to take the edge off her shocking scenes by turning the whole thing into some kind of a joke. Well, either this material is funny, in which case you don't take advantage of your stars, or it isn't funny, in which case...
Okay. No.
Now this is where Ebert's take on the movie is really strange. He claims that the movie, he claims that the movie is too smarmy and insincere, and that it treats everything like a joke, at least during the daytime scenes, and I just don't see it.
Yeah,
I don't think that's what the movie was trying to be.
Yeah, my take is him saying that like, oh, David Lynch was taking advantage of Isabella Rossellini and making her do these like awful things. Like, yeah, but it's in service to the movie. It's like, by all accounts, as far as I know, David Lynch was not, you know, he wasn't like a Victor Salva or a Roman Polanski who would just like do awful things to his actors. Like, you know, David Lynch, by all accounts, was a very meek, very timid, you know, kind of friendly guy. Like, hell, I remember there's a making of documentary on Blue Velvet where Dennis Hopper mentions that like whenever he and Lynch would go over the script, every time the word fuck would come up in the script, Lynch would point to it and refer to it as that word. Like, he was too embarrassed to say the word fuck to somebody like Dennis Hopper. Like, I don't think that's the same guy who would like try to sexually exploit, you know, any actress, let alone Isabella Rossellini. And, you know,
No, I will say, yeah, if you haven't seen Blue Velvet, there is a sexual assault scene in the movie. So if you are one of those people who thinks that just shouldn't be in a movie, then get filtered, son. But
Yeah.
So it is in there. So that's kind of what that and the scene where she's naked outside in the yard are probably the scenes he's referring to.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't have so much campy and adolescent dialogue along with the really powerful sexual scenes. Sure, the movie's well made, but the more I thought about it, the less I liked it.
Well, I liked it, and I thought about it a lot, and I think you may be on the wrong tack in trying to feel sorry for Isabella Rossellini, because after all, she intended to do what she did on the screen, number one. Number two, I'm sure she's walking around wherever she lives, New York City or whatever, and survived the whole experience. Just
yeah,
like
well, not only did she survive the experience, but she's actually talked very glowingly about the movie, and in fact has had worked with David Lynch afterwards. Like she was in Wild at Heart, and at the Oscars this past year, which I believe was like after Lynch sadly passed away, she not only went in attendance with Laura Dern, but she was wearing a blue velvet dress. So I have a feeling she probably doesn't harbor very many negative emotions towards doing the movie or working with David Lynch.
Janet Leigh survived the shower scene in Psycho. So I don't think that that's pertinent. I think what's exciting about the film, and it is challenging, is it starts out with flowers and sunlight, and it's a happy little town, and then we dig deeper and we find out it's a nasty town, or at least a couple of people are nasty. And I sat there, and this did for me, and I used the Psycho example again, this did for me what Psycho did as a lot younger, which is eyes open and, oh my God, we're really getting in over our heads. And that's an experience which is challenging, shocking, but mesmerizing, and I like the picture.
Well, first of all, I don't think I'm on the wrong track.
Yeah, Siskel, I think, absolutely hit the nail on the head with the movie. That the whole point of it is that it lures you in with a false sense of security with like this very peaceful, happy, very upbeat looking town. But then as you keep going, much like the character of Jeffrey Beaumont, you start to peel back and you see this like darker like underbelly. I mean, obviously not that the entire town is.
Well, I think the movie kind of telegraphs what it's going to do pretty early. Just the whole shot of like where it zooms in on the insects and the grass.
Yeah, but well, I mean that's early on, but I'm saying it's more like much like the character of Jeffrey. Like the more you go into exploring it, the darker and more depraved it gets. Like to me, that's what makes it work so well. Is that you start off with like a very pleasant kind of scenery, but then as it keeps going and you start digging deeper and deeper and deeper, you just see how much darker things get. And, like Jeffrey, you feel like you're in over your head on this.
With Isabella Rossellini. In the first place, the movie was shot in 2 halves, so she had no idea, making her part of the movie, that all of the stuff outdoors and in the daylight was going to be smarmy and campy and funny with all kinds of in-jokes. And secondly, it seems to me that we can't divorce our reaction.
Okay, maybe I'm really stupid, but what are the in-jokes in Blue Velvet?
I don't know. I guess maybe he's referring to like when Kyle MacLachlan and Laura Dern are like talking about her character, like what they've heard about her, and I have no idea what he's talking about with like in jokes, because I'm pretty sure they do.
See, this is what I don't get. He acts like the movie is a smarmy comedy when I just don't see that. I think the movie. Yeah, it's like I actually think the happy stuff in the movie is very earnest. It's meant sincerely. It's not meant to be a joke.
Yeah, and there's definitely comedic moments in the movie, but it's not like the movie as a whole is meant to be comedic. Like you're not supposed to laugh, for instance, when Dennis Hopper's beating the shit of Kyle MacLachlan, or
well, no, he's saying that the daytime scenes and the outdoor scenes, that's the stuff he's saying is supposed to be funny, and then the stuff with Isabella Rossellini is serious, and he's arguing it's a conflicting tone.
Yeah, I guess I can kind of see it, because there are some like I guess more happier or like sillier moments in the daytime scenes, but it's not like it's meant to be a flat out comedy, and there's not like a laugh a minute moments in the daytime scenes. But I
mean when Kyle MacLachlan and Laura Dern have that conversation in the car, like during their stakeout, or toward the end when like everything is put right and you see the flowers blossoming while you hear the song Blue Velvet. It's so great, and it's great because it's really earnest. I don't think it's supposed to be funny.
Yeah, no, not at all.
It's not how Rossellini reacts to the fact that she's standing there nude and humiliated on the lawn of the police captain's house with lots of people watching. It's how I react. And that's painful to me, to see a woman treated like that, and I want to know that if I'm feeling that pain, it's for a reason that the movie has other than simply to cause pain to her.
Well, I think what we're really seeing here is that Roger Ebert was like the original incel. Like he was like one of the first guys to be like, I will stand up for women's rights, and I will prove to women that I respect them, and I want to see them treated well, and I don't want these bad, evil male filmmakers to treat them like garbage. Like, no, I want to show them that I care about women, that I love women.
I think that the reason is that the film is a thriller and a shocker. I mean, there are people that get hurt badly in real life.
I don't think you're looking. I don't think incel is the term you're looking for. I think you're looking for white knight. It's a different archetype.
Yeah, white knight. That's more what I was thinking of. Yeah, thanks. But again, my point still stands that to me, Ebert just comes off less as like, a film critic and more just like someone who's like advocating for women's rights. But it comes off less like genuine and more just like, the typical guy who's like, oh, I support women's rights. But in reality, he's just wanting to get some attention.
This is not a simple mad slasher
then
movie.
why is it a comedy?
Because he wants to set you up. He's a director, and he wants to play you like all the great directors want to do. He wants to play you like a piano, which is have you smile and then swing you right into some depression.
Yeah, well, the
I
next
think
time
he
somebody wants to play me like a piano, he'd better get some music that's worth listening to.
I think this.
Oof.
I mean, that's a great one-liner, but again, I don't. Maybe I'm just stupid here.
Yeah.
But I like to think I'm good at detecting irony in movies. I don't think Blue Velvet is an ironic movie. I don't think it's a comedy.
Yeah, no, it's not at all. I mean, I think there's certainly like some comedic moments in it, but I don't think as a whole it's meant to be a comedy. It's, meant to be.
But even if the early scenes were comedic though, would that really make it a bad movie? I don't think it would. To have a movie kind of change tone slowly as it goes on.
Yeah, no, totally. I guess because we've been going now for like almost 2.5 hours. I guess we can kind of wrap things up. The last thing I'll look at really quickly is just because a lot of people have seen these, but the Siskel and Ebert bloopers, just because I don't know, I just think.
Oh, is this the one where they talk about how much they hate Protestants?
Well, I did. I can't find the one specifically about that, but the first one, the one I have here pulled up, is them ranting about McDonald's. So we can look at this.
Your stream just closed again.
God damn it. Okay. I seriously want to find the CEO of Discord and just give him a very strongly worded angry letter. Anyway, so let's see. Good run, film. Well, thank you, Sora. Well, we're not done yet, Sora. We're kind of near the end, but I just wanted to show some bloopers real quick. Let's see.
No, you're proud of your product.
You're actually yours is better.
Man, I hate Discord so much. Okay, let me share screen. Share that. All right. I'm just gonna look at this. I was gonna look at Streamlabs, but I'm gonna look at Discord just to make sure everything's working.
Roger, here we go.
Here we go. The science fiction thriller RoboCop.
This week on Siskel and Ebert in the movies. This week on Siskel and Ebert in the movies, the science fiction adventure RoboCop.
Do that again.
Very funny, Donna, and you're my friend. That's the last time you'll enter my home.
You know that Virgine's speech is a second language?
Roger's first language is, yes, I'll have apple pie with my order. He asked the McDonald's girls if he can have apple pie with their order before they ask him.
And you know what Gene says when he goes into
because Roger's so fat.
McDonald's? Can I have apple with their order?
Roger is the only guy in the history to ever answer yes to every question he's asked at McDonald's. Want some salad with your apple pie? Want some French fries with your salad? Want some hamburger with your French fries? Want some shake with your...
Want some shake? Want some shake? I knew Gene...
Anything.
That sounds like a fairly normal amount of food for an average-sized person.
Yeah, probably.
Without a grammatical
I don't know how many items
movie
there are,
Bob
but
reference.
they've worked him through the whole fucking menu.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I didn't catch that.
They had that photo of like...
Yeah, I know what you're talking. I remember what you're talking about because me and Storm looked at Movie Bob a while back, which I really hope we do another one of those because that was a lot of fun.
The record, he ordered every fucking thing they have. He ordered a cone and a sundae.
Now, the other day, Gene was in there, and the little girl said to him, would you like some French fries with your order? Or Gene's answer was, no, maybe, other, dude, yeah, no. Never mind. And then he walked out.
Oh, they said, you know what they said? They saw Roger walking in, and they said, one of everything to go, and one of everything to stay here.
when they saw Gene walking in with a little kid behind the counter, called for the manager and said, "Mr. Jones, can you come out here? You can understand Mr. Siskel, can't you?"
Damn. It is also just really weird hearing them curse at all. Just, I mean, then again, this is all like outtakes, so obviously this didn't air on television. But just, can you imagine just like tuning in to Siskel and Ebert, and all of a sudden you just hear Siskel say like, "He ordered every fucking thing off the menu."
I can't ever understand him when he's ordering. All right, what will you have, sir? Quarter, pounder, quarter. Pounder, quarter, quarter pounder. Cheese, no cheese. No cheese.
They asked Roger, "Do you want cheese with your cheeseburger?" He said, "Yes."
Shake milk.
And then in a few years, Roger's not going to be able to order anything else because he's not going to have a jaw.
Shake milk.
Sorry, was that a little too soon to make a joke about?
I don't know. How do you think Roger would feel?
I mean, I don't know how he would feel because he's dead.
What would you like? He goes to Burger King. What would you like on it, sir? The following.
They asked Roger what they
I'll have the following. And another thing. Pickle.
They asked Roger what they'd like on his burger. He says, "Salad, cherry pie, and a Coke."
I'm checking the chat right now. Let's see. Mushroom says, "Damn it, Mimi, you beat me to the movie Bob joke, you dreadful little ant." And then Sora says, "Mimi is an ant. I thought..." Sora said, "Mimi is an ant. I thought she was a token sexy librarian type, lol." And then Sora's also asking what happened to his jaw. Basically, what happened was, I believe Ebert suffered from like throat cancer, I think, and as part of the cancer treatment, he had to get his jaw surgically removed, and it actually looks pretty haunting, like seeing it without the jaw. Like you just see like the upper row of teeth, and just like it's kind of hard to show, but I don't know, it's pretty unnerving.
On the burger.
With all due respect. With all due respect. I know.
Come on.
Let's do this. We only have one more to do.
There we go. This week on Siskel and Ebert in the movies, the science fiction adventure RoboCop.
And Michael Keaton's new cover.
Oh, and that's that, I guess. Let me just...
Right, is there anything else you want to watch? Or
there was one video that you pulled up that you sent me that we should look at. So let me pull that up really quick. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this thing.
This is very short. I think we can watch this and then head out.
Okay, so let me check this.
Hello and welcome back to Basic Cringe Cinema with me, Roger Ebert. Okay, Mr. Russian Man, please show me your film. Very good. Honest and base cinema at its finest.
What about me, Mr. Ebert? What do you think of my film? Do you find this film to be based, or do you find it to be cringe?
Oh, I just saw that the Discord crashed, so I'm gonna fix that. So let me switch over. There we go. Okay.
Bruh. I find this film to be shallow and pedantic. A bit cringe, if you ask me.
So that's a thing.
This is a stupid video, but I like quoting it. I like, bruh, I find this film to be shallow and pedantic. It's cringe, if you ask me. I love to do that for some reason.
Yeah, no, I can see why. So I guess moral of the story is Siskel and Ebert, like, jokes aside, they were very influential for a reason. Like, there's a reason why a lot of critics like took inspiration from them, because, you know, even if they did have opinions you disagree with, like, you at least like understood where they were coming from, and you could at least like, I don't know, they were still like they at least were like funny about their disagreements. Like I don't know if they did a video for it, but I remember Roger Ebert, like, he hated Caligula, and in his review he wrote one of my favorite lines in it. He wrote at the very end, "This movie," said the lady in front of me at the drinking fountain, "is the worst piece of shit I've ever seen," which I always just found that so funny. Like, even if, because like I for what it is, I enjoy Caligula, but even as somebody who likes it, even I'm like, okay, that's actually a good line. But I don't know, with the whole women in danger thing, I mean, I know that like as the years went on, he softened up his view on them quite a bit, but it's just still like funny to see him reaching for all these things about like, oh, these movies are so anti-woman and like they're, you know, destroying the women's lib movement. It's like, no, they're just dumb slasher movies. Nothing more to it than that.
Yeah, I guess that's about all we have to say.
Yeah, I mean, that really is just everything there is. So I guess to just close things out, as always, Mimi, thank you so much for stopping by and enduring this, whatever all this was, with me for about 2.5 hours, which, good God. I guess if the folks at home want to check you out, where can they do so?
You can check out my channel. It's just called Mizz Mimi. I recently uploaded a video. It was about the second season of Has Been Hotel and its hidden themes that nobody was talking about that were probably unintentional. I was thinking this video would use because it's about a timely subject matter that everybody's talking about, but it didn't get any. So please go watch it until it gets a million views.
Did you seriously say a million views?
Yeah, you know, like Mimi, but a million combined. It's funny.
Okay, and I think that's about it. Let me actually first just try to find the audio for it. Okay, I guess never mind. I'll just play this version. Okay, let me skip past this. Okay, so yeah, and of course with me, you know where to find me. I've got the socials, I've got Patreon, YouTube, the website, all that good shit. The latest review I have on the site is for Glass Onion. I am going to be writing a review for Wake Up Dead Man sometime this weekend. I just haven't gotten around to it because of work and everything. As far as videos go, I want to try to get one more video out before the end of the year. But aside from that, one of my big goals for 2026 is I want to try to get at least 2 videos out per month as opposed to just one for this past year. Because, you know, I've already hit like the 500 subscriber mark, so I want to try to keep it going, maybe get up to 1,000 subs. But yeah, aside from that, that's pretty much all I got. So once again, Mimi, thank you so much as always for coming on. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to be on.
All right, and with that, we're going to wrap things up. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in. Hang on, I just messed it up. Look forward to more reviews and more videos coming out soon. And until then, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.
Full of Christmas semen. I don't know what it is, but it's hot. It's like heaven's orgasm inside an oatmeal cookie shot. And when I put my Santa hat on, it's a needle full of Christmas glee. Coating my house in frilly shit in Disney trademark intellectual property. Cause it's snowing, I love shopping, and I fucking love Christmas. Setting up the lights so my fucking house sings, cause I'm fucking batshit crazy about Christmas. If Christmas was living, I'd fuck it to death and then consume its body for its Christmas breath. Cause it's growing and not stopping, and I fucking love Christmas.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jesus Christ on the electric guitar!
You won, goddammit! He died for your sin! I'll buy all things red and green, accumulating thousands in debt.
You cannot beat us.
It ruined my life, making it the best Christmas yet. And I'll play those Christmas carols until my ears will bleed with Christmas cheer. It'll scare the shit out of you, but it's only getting bigger every year. Cause it's snowing, I love shopping, and I fucking love Christmas. I love those stop motion shafts, she'll scare the shit out of me, cause I'm fucking batshit crazy about Christmas. I bathe in hot chocolate till my skin is red, and I quote Christmas stories till your soul is dead. Cause I'm soaking in sweet toppings, and I fucking love Christmas. And the deals, and the meals, and the meals, and the steals, and the seals. Keep it longer, make it stronger, nothing's wrong here, I can stay here all year.